Open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite.
Now, there's one thing you might have noticed I don't complain about. Politicians.
Governments you don't always have to say a word. They're accountable. I'll come here to give you either one. Either one from you.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up,
T-minus 1 minute.
live out the true meaning of its creed.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
T-minus 50 seconds.
I am paying for this microphone, Mr. Every dollar released from taxation
T-minus 40 seconds.
that is spent or invested will help create a new job.
Chivalry is dead, and women killed it.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines.
T-minus 20 seconds.
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing ground and in the streets.
10, 9,
We shall fight
8,
in the hills.
6,
We shall never surrender!
3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Problem Solver Politics live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with none other than Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And yeah, cool. Cody, tell us what's going on today, man. Let's start out right.
Whoa, well, hold on. I gotta press some buttons real quick.
Shoot. And I forgot my vest. I don't have my cool 1930s shopkeeper vest on, dude.
Oh.
No way. This is what makes it look good.
Wait, hold on. Sorry, 1 second, guys. My my OBS isn't working for some reason. Give me 1 second. Whoa. Oh, come on. Don't make me have to restart OBS. This is crazy. Okay. Anyway, we're going to talk about something. A lot of you guys are probably interested in what the title is, and I'm really trying to show you, but I swear, man, like,
Uh-oh.
my OBS is broken, and I won't show it anymore. Give me 1 second, guys. I'll get this working. Give me 1 second.
Well, that's funny. We never had this issue before.
No, we haven't.
Is it not using Firefox? Oh, Firefox.
It won't do the browser. I can't get it to browser capture. Give me 1 second. I'll get to the bottom of this. Anyway,
cool.
Cardin, what about you?
I was about to say, in the meantime, let me just answer a couple of the questions that we got going on in the chat here. So I'm responding to someone really fast, and then I'm going to get to the general questions. So here we go. We've got a question from, actually not a question, but yeah, a lot of people are very interested in the title of this, what it has to do with Chuck E. Cheese's. Some people are questioning, how have we gone crazy? We made a video about Japanese senators watching videos of alligators, which we do have to correct ourselves, by the way. We found out it wasn't a crocodile,
Well, hold on.
but an
There's
alligator.
There's some interesting reasoning behind it. So,
Yeah.
technically speaking, it would be an alligator. However, not in America really, but in Japan, I guess in Japan, you can look this up. There was something called... There was a big Instagram account, and it was like the crocodile dies in 100 days or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a big hit in Japan.
Yeah.
So if you're writing stuff for a Japanese audience, I guess they try to force crocodile into the title to get the old algorithms going for them.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a big argument in the chat right now about whether that's an essential oils pen, Cody, or whether or not you be dabbing.
No, it's essential oils. It's I don't know. What do they?
Essential oils, as in
sage? Is it? No, it's
Yeah,
it's what's it called? It's citrus oils. I use citrus oils for my my juju.
Yeah. So, Trumper for Yang is very happy that he made it here on time. There's actually,
what's up, dude? I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on right now. Like I had our streaming software open and displaying the link I want to show you guys right before we started. As soon as we started, it went away. So give me 1 minute. We'll get to this.
we could always print it out old school and just show it on the screen. Like some of those YouTube videos you see of segments of movies where the person was so low tech that they just literally took an iPhone and filmed the part of the movie that they liked before they uploaded it.
At this point, I'm tempted to just restart the browser, restart OBS, and then hope I start fast enough to get the
get the stream back.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, that's a risky move. That's like shooting for the moon. But I would support you if you wanted to do it.
I mean, it's
you
not
know what
working.
I'm saying.
I cannot. I'll tell you what. I could do this. I could do this in the meantime.
Okay.
We could do this. Hold on. I'm gonna switch it. We're gonna do it like the way I'll do the streams. Where is I'm looking for? Here we go. We're going to do it old school. We're doing it old school today, guys. We haven't done this in a while.
Okay, I'm excited to see this.
So give me 1 sec. Cool. Anyways, what am I talking about with why is Chuck E. Cheese lying? I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering what the hell I'm talking about. Here's what I'm talking about. Now, I'll admit, man, I've not fallen prey, but I have kind of seen this going on. So if you guys I've been using lately way too much, to be honest. Uber Eats. I think technically I give DoorDash my $10 a month to get the deals, so I use DoorDash mostly.
Okay.
However, obviously delivery apps are more popular now than ever, right?
Okay.
And going through all the delivery apps, looking through the stuff, I would see every now and then Chuck E. Cheese pop up as an option.
Okay.
I always used to call it Chuck E. Cheese's. I guess it is the possessive, right? It is owned by Chuck E. Cheese. Not literally, but like hypothetically. Anyway.
Uh-huh.
And I remember scrolling by thinking, like, who would order Chuck E. Cheese? Like, no offense. Anyone in chat ordered Chuck E. Cheese but just to eat? No offense. But I'm like, a lot of the food they have there really is for, you know, like the parents eat it with the pints of beer while the kids play the game. Like, it's not like they don't advertise the fact that they have great pizza at Chuck E. Cheese. So what they've started doing in, I guess, very recent past, people started noticing is they've started rebranding themselves on these food delivery apps.
Yeah, okay.
They won't show up as Chuck E. Cheese. They will show up as Pasquale's Pizza and Wings or Pascale's.
Ah.
And so you'll order from Pascale's Pizza and Wings, and then Chuck E. Cheese will arrive. Now, Chuck E. Cheese has given a reason for this. They say that Pasquale's Pizza and Wings recipes use fresh. Basically, it's like an in-brand. Like within Chuck E. Cheese's empire, I guess, they're adding something called Pasquale's, which, by the way, is baloney. What they're really saying is no one in their right mind orders Chuck E. Cheese pizza for the hell of it. Like, if you're not a captive audience and you're not forced in there for a kid's birthday party, you're probably not ordering their pizza. So to get around this, they simply trick you and make you think you're ordering from others. Now, I've heard, and let me know in the chat, guys, I have heard anecdotally that this is something that isn't necessarily exclusive to Chuck E. Cheese. Anecdotally, I've heard of Applebee's posing as like Wing Depot or something.
Oh, yeah.
So if you order specifically wings through Applebee's, they will have it set up on these delivery apps as not Applebee's because people don't want to order from them. And that really got me thinking of something. And fundamentally, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys in chat. Sorry, I can barely even see chat right now because of the way I have the screen set up. But what's really fascinating to me is this idea that, and it's going to happen, right? I can have my, let's say, pizza place. If I want to be shady a little bit or flout the rules, I can have my pizza place show up as 4 different pizza places.
Okay, yeah.
Even with varying prices. What do I care?
Yeah,
They're all
you would
my
look
pizza.
like you would look like false competing businesses.
Not even that. It's just maybe they don't like one, they like the other. But it's interesting seeing these large chains now that they've lost that.
Yeah.
Like, what made Applebee's and Chuck E. Cheese competitive is you kind of had to go there and there were so many of them. You didn't really have to go to Applebee's, but there's so many, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Once you move to these delivery formats, my favorite local place to order from, they have fundamentally one thing on the menu, and it's like Southern hot fried chicken with fries.
Yeah.
Do you want them as tenders? Do you want them in a bun? Do you want one in a bun?
Yeah.
Fundamentally, serve one. I'm saying very small. That's my favorite place to use from Grubhub. Price is right. Food's really good. I love it. I order it. Suddenly, Applebee's being that big name brand where I'm like, I guess I know Applebee's. I'll stop by. That's gone.
Yeah.
I get to actually, and I think it's funny to see these companies freaking out. Like, what do we do? Like, no one's going to just order Chuck E. Cheese pizza. No one is. What do we do?
Because if you're in the move to just order a pizza based upon taste,
you'll
and
probably
wanting to
look to
fulfill
a place that specializes it, like Pasquale's Pizza and Wings.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking for that. And
but see, here's the thing, though, is I actually really like the local Chuck E. Cheese pizza. It's actually really good. I mean, it's below the artisan pizza and Pizza Hut on a really good day. Okay. But it's definitely above a lot of others that I've tried. So, I mean, if it were priced right, I wouldn't mind ordering from Chuck E. Cheese's.
Scott over here in chat says that he does Postmates, and a lot of places are doing this. He says, when it's confusing when I pick up food at one of these restaurants, because it clearly has no sign and it's really confusing until you call them up. Yeah, a lot of people are starting to kind of, because I've noticed this, dude. I'm scrolling through the local food delivery apps and I'm like, I have never
Sly Cactus brings up a good point. And
seen this place, and now they're delivering? Who is this?
Yeah, now Sly Cactus brings up a good point, and he says they better start delivering in a Chuck E. Cheese costume. See, I think they actually shouldn't try and hide their pizza. They should actually make their delivery squad roll out in the costumes. I would pay an extra $10 for pizza if I knew a guy would come and do a little song and dance in the door in the Chuck E. Cheese outfit. My kids would love that and look forward to that every freaking Friday night, and I'd give that guy a $5 tip and pay $5 extra.
Dude, I'm sorry, but
I am a mark.
Okay, I'm
not the only parental mark.
Maybe
for
I'm
that.
just cynical, but
okay.
If I had to show up at a Chuck E. Cheese thing and dance around for some, no offense, middle class yuppie types for the kids, I'd be like, kill me now.
No, yeah, you would have here's the deal. No, Cody, stop.
You know what? You would offer me $5, and I'd be like, I'd be like, you know what, dude? Can you just kill me? Like,
the
$5 is a nice gesture, but please, for the love of God.
Okay, but no, Cody. Here's why I push back on that notion that you would hate it, because here's the deal. You'd realize I have a mask on. This person has no idea who I am. So my self-respect hasn't been lost. And in these 2.5 minutes, I'm going to make a $5 tip plus a $5 extra pay in my hourly wage, which is $10 altogether. And then in another 2.5 minutes, I'm going to be at another door. And then in another 7 minutes from that, I'm going to be at another door. You will be clocking $80 to $100 an hour on that job.
Hey,
you would do that.
No offense, man. There's a lot of ways to make a lot. Let me take it back, actually. There's a few very specific ways to make a lot of money hourly. A lot of people do them. Just a question of whether you're willing or not. By the way, Adderall is trending on Twitter under politics. Let's find out.
Okay, why?
You got to realize hydroxychloroquine is Trump's word for Adderall, which used to be his word for cocaine. All I'm going to say about Adderall is that every American major league sport has Adderall on the performance-enhancing drugs list.
Whoa.
You require a commissioner exemption, depending on the sport, whatever they call it, to take Adderall and play, because it is considered...
That freaks me out. And we give it to kids left and right, man. That's crazy.
I can tell you from experience, it is a performance-enhancing drug. Like, by definition. I'll pick a thing you want to be better at. But maybe not everything. Pick most things you want to be better at, and you'll be better at it on Adderall.
No, I disagree with that. My parents tried to give me Adderall. Didn't do anything.
Oh, maybe you're just dumb. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
Or maybe I'm already playing 4D chess and you can't
one of the most
play
like,
5D.
open scandals and not even scandals, but just open secrets is that Adderall abuse is ridiculously prevalent in higher education. Because it's the perfect thing for it. It's like, sorry, dude, you got to like sit down, turn your brain off, and just read a book for like 13 hours.
Okay.
That's what it does. But one thing I thought was funny on the topic of Adderall was, I think, Adderall.
Well, that means that you don't actually have attention deficit.
And
that's why that's why it enhances the performance. If you had ADD,
who cares what it's for?
Then it would just make you normal.
Do you want to hear a funny story about Adderall? Do you know why Adderall was first produced? Like, not first produced, but do you know what its first commercial application was?
Probably to give people
first commercial
an
application.
upper that was a transition from methamphetamines. I bet you it was probably
transition. Dude, Adderall's like 70% meth. It's not no, that's not what it was. Adderall first, and correct me and chat if I'm wrong, it first rose to prominence, I believe, in England or maybe just Europe in general as a weight loss pill.
Oh yeah, no, actually I remember that. Yeah.
Because if you're on stimulants all day, dude, you're losing weight, man. You ain't not eating. Because why do you eat? Why do we eat? What do you get from food mostly? Yeah. Seriously, what do you get from food mostly? Why do we eat?
Now, you
get energy. You want a seemingly infinite amount of energy. Let me tell you. Anyway, though, I think it's fascinating that what's fascinating to me though, and this is like my pet beef that I have all the time.
Yeah.
People complain about potentially if like the president's on Adderall or whatever. Dude, almost every single one of these people are on I don't want to say barbiturates, but you know what I mean. They're on benzo, diaphragm. Yeah. So almost all of these people. Dude, go back to Kamala Harris's last debate. I want to see if I can pull footage. Cardinal, can you look up what her last debate was? I'm not even kidding you. The last debate Kamala Harris showed up at, I think she took one or too many Xanax.
Oh, I see, yeah.
She was slow, sloppy, and slurring words the whole time. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? But I think I've said this like 5 or 6 more times, 5 or 7. But like I swear to God, like if you're an elected representative, and you go to a doctor and you explain to them the emotional problems and mental problems you probably have being a lot of pressure, they'll just prescribe you Xanax, like straight up. They'll just be like, well, Mr. Senator or Miss Congressperson, I guess you need Xanax.
Yeah, I'm under a lot of pressure. My constituents.
Almost all these people, like, you could just see it in their eyes. They're, like, just gone. They're lost. They're just kind of like, well, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, what is wrong with these? And you know what? Same thing, though. Speaking of Adderall, dude, you know, like a 20-hour Senate hearing?
What?
When they're in those 15, 16-hour Senate hearings, you really think the candy desk is, like, enough? Like, the candy desk gets them all through?
How do we know they haven't zipped a little bit into the candy? How do you know that guy's not popular because he hasn't figured out a little way to sweeten the deal with that, Hershey's chocolate
I have a
bar?
question. Who would be if everyone in the Senate, it's okay with them like doing cocaine? It was like, who enforces that? I've always said this is why my pet stance for a while has been this. You should be allowed as an elected representative to do whatever drugs you want. Don't care. We should just know what they are.
Okay.
I want to see test results weekly on a spreadsheet of every elected rep and what's in their system.
Interesting.
Here's the thing, man. If it's like,
what do you think is the most commonly abused drug amongst senators and congressmen?
Well, I guess I could cop out and say caffeine, right? Probably alcohol.
Do you consider caffeine a drug? Cody, are you going Mormon on us, bro?
I mean, just like technically speaking, that's what it is.
Yeah, a stimulant, basic stimulant, I'd say.
Some kind of, but I don't know, probably prescription pills, and probably as far as prescription pills, benzo, just because they'll prescribe. Here's the thing. Benzos don't act like Xanax, for example. They don't do like, they obviously do something, but they're like, they don't like address anything important. They'll just kind of make you feel like you're drunk, more or less. That's what they do. They'll essentially make you feel like loose, lower some inhibitions and stuff like that. And they'll prescribe that to people that are like, well, I'm really stressed out a lot. I'm like, why don't you take these? Because the bottom line is, like, why do you think alcohol abuse is so prevalent, right? People will just drink to solve any problem. So imagine a pill that does it. Why would a doctor not just prescribe that to everyone?
Reese Davidson is coming up here, and he's saying, I literally got prescribed Xanax after my surgery for appendicitis.
Oh, yeah.
They're giving out Xanax post-appendicitis?
Make a prescription with a psychologist, or make an appointment with a psychologist, go to them, and just, dude, honestly, explain general life stuff. Sometimes I get nervous. Sometimes I have fears or anxieties that prevent me from doing things I would otherwise like to do. Just life stuff, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll let opportunities pass me by because I feel held back. And they will just write you a prescription and they'll say, hey, I'm a doctor, man. Don't worry. Just give this to your pharmacist at your local Rite Aid or whatever.
Yeah,
and
we are a heavily overprescribed society.
Yeah. But the thing that's crazy though is that like Xanax, that's gnarly stuff, and they'll just give it to people and be like, take it, whatever, we don't care, do whatever you want, really. I mean, like, not gonna do anything about it. Great. Anyway, though, I just think it's funny that they talk about Adderall, dude. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even talking to you guys. For real, I would rather find out that my elected official was on Adderall than. Because you know what? That means he's trying. Or he or she's
I was
trying.
about to say, if you're not cheating, you're trying,
that's
right?
like basically a performance-enhancing drug. Like any professional sport. I'm not even kidding you. I can't talk about darts or billiards, but video games, baseball, football, basketball, you need an exemption to take these medications. Here's the thing, though. They're so widely prescribed, a lot of people do get exemptions to take them. But and just for further proof, when Barry Bonds was cheating his ass off to hit 73 homers, which, by the way, just as an aside, total shame. Barry Bonds would have been an all-time great without the steroids. You know what he was doing as well? Oh, you know he was taking Adderall. The roids weren't enough. Hey, having my muscles hacked is one thing. Gotta hack my brain. And yeah, but I mean, it really is. I mean,
that freaks me out, though.
People get caught taking Adderall all the time.
You know what really scares me right now? That we ingest voluntarily. Okay? This is my one soda for the day. As part of my diet, I'm letting myself supposedly only have 26 grams of sugar. This has 39, so I'm already exceeding it with this one thing of soda. But this is my guilty pleasure at the end of the day as I transition into my intermittent fasting diet again, right? For those of you that don't know in the audience, yes, I was indeed diagnosed with leukemia, so I got my chemotherapy part done with, so I can actually enjoy sodas again. But anyway, I'm taking it down to 1. But I'm only having sodas that have natural sugars because aspartame freaks me out, dog. Aspartame, I don't know about that, man. There's a reason why that cheese is outlawed all over Europe and in other places. And I'm not one of those guys that says, hey, because Europe is doing it, then we should do it too. I think those people are knuckle-dragging Neanderthals when it comes to intellectualism. But I got to say, man, it was passed in a shady form here that I'm not necessarily down with. And what I have heard about aspartame freaks me out. I know I'm oversimplifying this, and please correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. And Cody, you may know more about this because you know everything. But
nothing.
Dude, aspartame is basically like a neurotoxin that lodges in your brainstem, fooling the rest of like the brain matter around it into thinking that what you just ingested is sweet.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is, and it stays there. It's like you hear these apocryphal stories that are probably only 10% true, but those 10% are probably wild. Anyway, of people, that did some illicit drugs, maybe acid, or I don't know if it's LSD, but it stays in your fatty tissues. So people that maybe dipped it in the 60s or the 70s after significant amounts of weight loss, they burn that fat, all of a sudden they get a flashback.
Talking about,
that sounds like aspartame, dude. That just, I don't know. Aspartame freaks me out. I work with pesticides every day, and I got to tell you, the pesticides that we spray as a company don't freak me out as much as the crap that the FDA has approved for human consumption that we put into our bodies voluntarily every day. Did you know that the soldiers in Vietnam, do you know what problems we had with soldiers in Vietnam? It was hard and difficult to identify Vietnamese soldiers because they would begin to decompose almost immediately under the hot sun because they had this, diet of fish and rice and fruits and vegetables.
That sounds
weird.
Whereas
the American soldiers' bodies with all their preservatives from the MREs were they were like all chemicals by the time they've been serving a year overseas eating prepackaged American food.
I have a question now. Like, here's the thing. There's so many. There's so many. We don't know the long-term effects of touching and rubbing around on certain metal alloys and plastics we've just came up with in the last couple hundred years.
Oh, yeah, no, we approve all. Dude, I'll tell you right now. Glass, metal, and wood. I want my stuff packaged in glass, metal, wood, and paper. That's it.
We don't know about any of this stuff. I don't know, man. It's one of those things we don't know what we're doing. Okay, I don't need glasses for my eyes. I have good vision. Do you know why I wear these glasses?
Yeah.
I'm wearing these glasses.
Well, those are your blue light blockers,
dude. Can you guys
see
it a little bit? You can kind of see it. Hold on. Do you see how they kind of have these block blue light because I look at computer screens all day and I literally get a headache and eye strain if I stare at a computer all day and I'm not wearing these glasses because we don't know what happens if your eyeballs stare at LCD screens for 12 hours a day because it's very new.
Well,
a lot of stuff like that, man. It's like, yeah, what is the What is the? I mean, I have to be honest. It's one of the reasons why I'm kind of interested in politicians to talk about the future. Because, dude, no politician's bringing up like, hey, I used to joke about this all the time. In middle school, in high school, when I was in like 10th grade in high school.
A couple of years ago, okay.
Couple of years ago. I wish, man. Every morning before class, I would go to the bus stop, and the bus stop would take me to like transfer station. Anyway, it was like a gas station. I would buy a bag of peach sour rings,
rock on,
and a 24-ounce can of NOS energy drink at
Whoa.
like 7:30 a.m. every morning for like 2 years. And I just joke. It's like I'm waiting for it to be like up late.
Dude, how's your brain not fried and your
what I
heart not like palpitating?
I'm waiting one day to be up late watching TV and like, do you have X, Y, and Z condition? Did you drink energy drinks containing these ingredients? Because there's no way that stuff is good for you. Not even every morning. I'd have them in the afternoon.
That's why people clowning on Mormonism for not drinking coffee and alcohol, dude. Well, you guys, those are all gateway drugs to crazy stuff. Oh my gosh, man.
Sorry.
People in their energy drinks,
coffee.
I know.
I'm not gonna
you
let.
Like
I'm not gonna let you or alcohol. I'm not gonna let you clown on alcohol or coffee.
Look, I ain't here to clown your lifestyle, dog.
No,
I'm just saying I am happy I was preserved that.
They are important to the development of human societies.
Okay, I think you do not need liquid courage in order to pick up on a girl, and if you do, we need to teach you real courage.
No, do you know why alcohol was important originally?
Light amounts of alcohol, like the wine that was mentioned in the New Testament.
Yeah,
when
why
says
was it
that
important?
Jesus drank wine.
What was the point of it?
It was not a preservative, but it was a way
wasn't
to
dirty
avoid
ass water that got you sick.
A way to avoid bacterial infections, because the wine that is often mentioned in the New Testament is actually better said grape juice, because the plant would be a filter of pathogens that would usually get you sick.
The beer. I'm just saying though, it's the reason why we drink it.
So there's a good comment here that I want to get over that I've been wanting to get over for 15 minutes, but we keep digressing. Nanomancer71 said a couple minutes ago that you guys should switch the dress code policies. Cardin shows up in a polo button down to the navel, and Cody like he's going to an opera in the 1890s. I think he meant Cody is showing up with a polo button down to the navel, and Cardin like he's going to an opera in the 1890s. Yes, this is my 1920s shopkeeper vest.
In inverse, they're saying. So I should dress like you should dress like me.
Oh, see, he was going meta on this.
Also, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Trooper for Yang asks, by the way, Shadow Man, I think we've mentioned before. We said, question for the two of you. Who are you voting for? I am hardcore Andrew Yang voter. Having Trump 2020 will ensure the surest path to Yang 2024. I mean, like, I'm for sure not voting for Joe Biden. I know that.
Yeah, there's no way.
But do you know why I maintain I will never vote for Joe Biden, though?
What?
I still maintain there will not be Joe Biden on the ballot come November. I maintain his name will not be there.
Wow, I think
recently not a story came out, but somebody. What's her name? Hinojosa. She's the she has like the what is it? Like traditional kind of like native Mexican name. I think it's Chocado. What is it? She's like the speaker for the DCC. She's like one of like the head like communications directors for him. She came out and said some weird stuff like, "Well, we have to have this convention soon because like we're not like electing Biden or something." I don't think she's like. I think she said that literally, but that's not what she meant. But still, like people have been. I think we had a stream or a video like 6 months, not even 6 months ago, like 6 weeks ago. I mean, where I said Joe Biden will not be on a ballot, and I don't know why. I just maintain that feeling where I feel like no matter what, Joe Biden will not, because there's just so much stuff going on, man, where I just don't see how he makes it to the ballot. Like, one, I'm sorry, but dude, he does just seem like he's declining mentally. It just seems the reality. He's like, which by the way, it's like no hate. He's like almost 80 years old. That's kind of what happens to human beings in their 80s, right? Like, it famously happened to your boy Reagan in office. There's like people that have come out after him and been like, yeah we kind of had to, not like cover things up, but we had to, help make the president look well. I mean, it's a legitimate real thing that happens. When you're really old, your brain starts slipping. It's real. It's I just think I don't know. I do think it's unfortunate that, but there's the other thing too. It reminds me a little bit of something like, going into sports references, one of my favorites, but in sports, let's use football, for example. Quarterback of the team, right? Very important position. Like, sometimes you have to recognize it's a really important position, and it's really important you get a young person in there to you get the future Like, what is the future of the DNC franchise? It isn't Joe Biden. It feels like I'm trying to... This happens a lot in football, by the way. They'll have a youngster brought in. I'm not saying Andrew Yang would be my choice, but even if you want to pick like a Buttigieg, just somebody who's the outsider, a youngster, right? You'll have that youngster waiting on the bench.
Yeah.
And you'll have we'll call him a Joe Biden. You'll have that veteran. 15 years ago, man, were you glad to have him. But now, and then there comes that point where it's like, now is the time, man. There's nothing Joe Biden will show you in this election that will tell you where you'll be 6 years from now. Because Joe Biden's done. This is the end for him. Even if he wins, I don't think he runs a second time. He's too old.
And it's one of the...
It's sometimes, even if you don't know if you'll win, because I don't think Biden will win, it's like you got to see what you have. You need to see what you have in these younger candidates. What can they legitimately draw out of people? What traction can you actually get running a Pete, running an Amy Klobuchar, running some young blood? I mean, and you know what happens in football sometimes?
What?
You go 1-15, you're picking first overall next year, and you're like, damn, we got to start over. But the thing is, at least you know what you don't have. Running Biden again tells the DNC establishment nothing.
Yeah.
How is Biden fundamentally going to reach voters Hillary didn't?
But
how?
Cody,
Like,
this is what
what voter votes Biden who wouldn't vote Hillary? Who is that?
Look,
So what does it do for the future of the party in running a Biden? I don't get it.
Let Cardin the Boomer King translate boomer speak for you. Okay. One of the most destructive aspects of the older generations of our country that I think is an immediate derivative of widespread service in World War II is this concept of obedience to a seniority-based leadership model. Okay? We have been drunk on this idea as a society that father knows best and seniority is what trumps all in the arena of wisdom. So if you look at it, that's really that's the ethos that is permeated through most of our politics, most of the way our movies are made, most of our large organizations that compromise what used to be the backbones and the skeleton of our society all have these seniority-based leadership models. And you say, wait, if we want to be merit-based, which what football is, hold on, let me finish.
Okay, but
if we want to be merit-based, which what football is, because the scoreboard determines who wins or loses.
I'm talking longer term.
I know. Then you're saying sometimes you need to take that 1 for 15 hit to get the young guy in there, because in the long run, when you normalize all results, you will get better performance by constantly interjecting at correct times younger talent to grow with the team.
Well, no, my larger point was just this: is
they're not doing that. And you said, why aren't the boomers doing that? It's because they're obsessed with seniority-based leadership models.
Sometimes seeing what you have means you go on a surprise run and go deep, and you're good. Like I'm not saying they have to take a deep hit, but I'm saying is there comes a time where anything, any business, any franchise, anything can just roll with what's been working until it literally the wheels fall off. But sometimes.
And that's what's happening in DNC.
But
and a little bit to the
smart
RNC.
And the flexible sports franchises, but businesses, they say, why don't we run something else out there? Let's see what else we have here first.
Okay.
Like, what if Pete does lose or someone did lose, but they're like, you know what? Pete lost, but he won 4 states. We had him losing big time. All of a sudden, that gives you info. That tells you. Next, let me go back to, I think part of it, to be honest, is the media. This is one joke I make all the time, and you could even call it a joke if you want to call it a joke. But one thing I say all the time is that no matter who the president is, I'll be talking to someone, and they'll be like, oh, I hate the president for X, Y, and Z reasons. And I'll be like, yeah, what the hell has the president ever done for me? Why should I like the president? And they'll be like, yeah, and they'll bring up some partisan reason. I'm like, hold up. I don't really care about, like, the specific part. It's like, what the hell has the president ever done for me ever? I don't care who it is. What has that office ever done to improve my quality of life? And I think that the presidency, it gets, in one way you could say president's a bad comparison. Quarterback is the heart and soul of football team. Dude, the president realistically, I'll put it this way. Really smart, devious, influential people who wield a lot of power don't give it up after 8 years.
Yeah.
They don't say, well, that was fun. Guess I'm giving it up. No, they find the places where you're there for 40. Where you die in office. Mm-hmm. They don't go to where you literally are forced to give your power up. So that's why the presidency, it's nice, it's important, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's meaningless, but it's not the be-all, end-all. it's not the president's what dictates everything. It really isn't. I mean, think of everything everyone told you Donald Trump was going to do.
Yeah.
And then think about the fact that Donald Trump had all three branches. He had the House and the Senate under his control for 2 full years. And I think he got a neighborhood named in Israel after him in 2 years. Like, what a president can do within the thing. Want to go to more recent history? What did Barack Obama do when he had the House and the Senate? He didn't get Obamacare through, and then that was about it. He never
because he torched all of his political capital.
The president isn't the dictator. Presidents don't rule by oh my god, what am I thinking of it? What is it called? The
fiat?
No, what did kings rule by?
Oh yeah, not abdication by God.
Exactly.
Yeah,
they're not.
They were blue buds. They were literally believed to be royal.
They don't have holy providence over us.
That's it, by providence of God.
Yeah,
yes.
the president is the leader of one branch of the government. There's 3 branches in government, and one of those branches we get to vote on every 2 years.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. One thing the president can do, one of the executive branch's premier powers, someone's probably going to bring it up in chat, is the fact that the executive branch does decide who will be, not decide, but they get to get the Supreme Court justices through.
Yep. Word.
But again, there's nothing that says Supreme Court justices have to serve till they die either.
Yeah.
And they could step down at any point. So a lot of it gets
It's what, Cody?
The courts are important, don't get me wrong, but I do think that people just, I think that's the game. That's the grift. The grift is to convince everyone the president is the most important person on the planet. When realistically, how about this? I got a question for you guys. Go on the ground in Syria, maybe some parts of Northern Africa, and ask them if they noticed America elected a new president. Say, hey, the president's got all this influence and power. Have you guys noticed the Americans treating you any different? Let's see what they say. Maybe some people, maybe in some places, but there's a lot of the government's in place way before a president gets elected. These wheels are in motion long before you take your oath. They're like, hey, Mr. President, just letting you know we're blowing up people in the Middle East still. And it's like, hey, don't do that. Anyway, later, Mr. President, thanks for the advice. And they'll just go do it anyway.
So Sly Cactus has a very interesting question. He asked if there's any parties that you like that are not the traditional 2 mainstream parties that are worth highlighting. And he asked a really interesting question. Says, is it worth the party you least hate taking a hit for a couple of election cycles in order to get another party you like more to rise up? I wonder if this fear is what is holding some people back from making another choice. Ooh.
Well, again, I've always said the reason why you can't have multiple parties, it's got nothing to do with us, nothing to do with what me and you are going to vote on. Do you know why we can't have 2 parties? Why I always say every time when I maintain why we can't have a third party?
Okay, why?
You think Democrats and Republicans don't like each other, right? You think they fight and they bicker? Let me tell you who are about to be the 2 best friends in the whole world if you introduce a third party. Democrats and Republicans, real quick, gonna turn from fighting to each other like, hold up, who's this? Who's showing up like they have a say in our world? Get out. I mean, you know what it reminds me of? And some of you guys in chat might know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you'll see a couple, I don't want to say trashy is a negative, but they're a certain type of couple, right? And they'll be arguing with each other or whatever. And someone might step in and say, hey, yeah, leave her alone, man. Why are you being so rude? And then all of a sudden, both people in that couple will just turn and focus all of their anger and ire on some random thing. You know what I mean? Like there's some couples, their hatred for each other kind of galvanizes them. And they're like, hey, it's fine if we hate each other, but how dare this person speak out against us? That's what I feel like would happen. The Republicans and Democrats would be screaming at each other, and then somebody would step in to say something, and the Democrats and Republicans would turn around and be like, hold on a minute. Are you talking to us? Are you stepping in on our turf? And they lay the smack down. Because there's way too much influence and power they have. By they, I mean, fundamentally, it's not a super uncharitable thing that the United States political system is largely ran by 2 private entities. That's not necessarily that crazy to say.
Oh, no, not at all.
Because the DNC and the DCC and the RCC.
You need to watch The Swamp on YouTube.
But what I'm saying is
it's absurd.
They decide who gets to show up at debates. They have so much influence, and they're private entities. They're not beholden to the government. It's not like the U.S. government establishes them. So,
okay.
Excuse me. Very interesting. I'm pulling something up. I'm trying to find
we got a couple of quotes here. I'm going to read through this. DJ Rice says deep state, exclamation mark, to which AM says deep state, question mark, deeply incompetent state for sure. I think that's going to be my new term. It's the DIS, the deeply incompetent state, not the DS, the deep state, but the deeply incompetent state. I really like that one. And Tom noticed that Cody big mad.
I'm not mad.
That's not mad. You ain't seen Cody mad. I've seen Cody mad once.
Yeah.
It was really bad. It was scary.
I'm not mad, but I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it's really interesting that there's just always like this sense that like it's super important who the president is, when it's like, dude, Nancy Pelosi, and I just use Nancy because she's one of the more influential American politicians, but you look at the people who've been in the House and in the Senate since like George W. Bush was in office.
Yeah,
and you wonder, who's actually calling the shots here?
Yeah, it's pretty cray.
People that have been here when I was 6 years old, or the guy that got elected 3 years ago? Who's actually calling the shots here? And I don't know. I have a feeling as the people that have been in D.C. since before I could read that are probably calling the shots instead of the guy who showed up 3.5 years ago, right? Like, no matter who it is. It's also one of the reasons why, one of the things that cracks me up is when people say, and when I say people, I'm talking about like, political kind of establishment elitist types, right?
Yeah.
Well, I thought a lot about when they would say Hillary should have won. What that means.
Oh.
Well,
shoot! I forgot you don't like that.
But you know what it means is, what it means to me is Hillary needed to win because Barack Obama really did increase the executive branch power. I know I was talking about the executive branches and the BL end all, but Barack Obama did a lot of his, a lot of his legislation through executive order. He did.
Oh, it was horrible.
But my larger point is this. That's why Hillary was supposed to win. Because they're like, crap. I mean, the Obama types are like, crap, we made the executive branch bigger than it was supposed to be. We can't just give this up to some random person.
Or to somebody we hate.
What do you know? They just gave it up to some random person and Donald Trump, they actually didn't, I will say one thing. The former establishment did a pretty good job making it impossible for him to do anything. But I wanted to get to is this. This is an interview with a man named Jerome Powell. Believe Jerome Powell is the chairman of the Fed. Basically, Jerome Powell, as far as I understand it, he's the guy who actually operates the money printer that we use to print money. And I want to read you guys this quote. It's from a 60 Minutes interview. And he said, Scott Pelley from 60 Minutes says, so, has the Fed done all it can do? Jerome Powell, this is in the context of the Fed just conjuring up, I think, like $5 trillion. Jerome Powell, well, there's a lot more we can do. We're not out of ammunition by a long shot. No, there's really no limit to what we can do with these lending programs we have.
Wow.
Again, this guy, I believe, is the chairman of the Federal Reserve. This is the Miss America gets their money. His quote is, there is no limit on what we can do with these lending programs.
And you know what bothers me about that?
Money
Go up to that headline,
literally
Cody.
never stop coming.
Yeah,
from
go
the
up
Fed.
to that headline. I hate it.
Crazy?
60 Minutes, part of this mainstream media corporate giant monster that fed us this BS. These are the same idiots that were making videos saying that planes were going to fall out of the sky during Y2K and that we were all going to die of the Ebola virus. All right. So it says Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell on the coronavirus ravaged economy. First off, the economy wasn't ravaged by coronavirus. The economy was ravaged by idiot government officials who believed the hype from the media and the groupthink of idiocy. Okay, I have said from day one, you can't watch a single one of our podcasts in which I have not said, this is so dumb what we're engaging in. We didn't do this for SARS. We didn't do this for MERS. We didn't do this for the swine flu that my wife got or for the Hong Kong flu that killed my great aunt in 1968. Okay, we didn't get any of that.
Hold on. Could you not just
this economy was not ravaged by coronavirus. It was ravaged by the deep incompetent state that we were just talking about 5 minutes ago.
Government incompetence. I agree. Yeah, governments are dumb.
So
you know what scares me the most?
So now we want to give them more power over our money?
Well, I'm saying what scares me the most though about I get the scent from how do I phrase this in a correct way? I feel like there's a certain type of individual that even if they are responsible for the lives of others, they will let those people die before they admit they were wrong.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But what worries me, like one thing, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm some great, student of the history, but if you look into a history, one thing that stood out to me a lot studying history, and this is one thing that maybe we'll wrap up in a little bit after this. How long we've been? I think we've been alive for like an hour or so, right?
47 minutes.
Oh no, we got more time. Don't worry.
Yeah, we got time.
One thing that I remember reading a lot was anyone that studies history maybe as well. I don't know, but there's a lot of times where a king or a leader or monarch of some sort will kind of screw up and basically lose his kingdom. And a lot of times they just kill themselves. Like they're just like done. Like they jump out of the window, they poison themselves. They don't let the kingdom fall. They don't actually let it happen. And I like to think, at least, the naive part of me likes to think that there was a time when leaders actually kind of bore the weight of their people. You know what I mean? They actually understood, I represent these people and their lives are mine. Like, I control their lives. They'd abuse that power, but then time would come when they'd be like, hold on a minute, I control their lives. It reminds, there's an episode of Rugrats. Remember the show Rugrats?
Yeah.
Where Angelica always bullies the Rugrats, and there's an episode where another bully comes, and she defends them against the other bully, because she's like, hey, I bully them, you don't. Like, that's my job. I put them in their place. You don't do that. And there'd be a lot of times where kings would lose that influence, they'd lose that power, and they'd let, or monarchs, queens done this too, where their people would be subjects, slaved, right, under other, and a lot of them would take their own life as opposed to live to see it. Because generally speaking, they're not going to kill you if you're a monarch. They really aren't throughout history. Sometimes they would, don't get me wrong. But generally speaking, there was, even now, same way senators or Democrats and Republicans in America, they'll talk about hating, but behind the scenes, they recognize, I feel you. We're both senators, right? They have that behind. There was a similar camaraderie, I think, depending. Obviously, there was wars that were like, we will exterminate these people kind of wars, right? But what's interesting is that sense, that kind of weight of your people, that sense of like, I represent a group of people and their lives do matter and I'm responsible for it. I feel like it's just gone, man.
Yeah.
Like leaders in America are like, whatever, later nerds.
No, I feel Donald Trump has that. No, Donald Trump totally has that. I think is his main. That is his main attraction.
A little bit, but even then, it's
when
just
he
crazy.
got out there and he said, "You are the forgotten man and woman that the system has forgotten." I think he exhibited more in that statement. Okay, more in that statement of that my people leadership style you crave than the people that vote for him had seen in 50 years, and previously people had asked who we were going to vote for. And I say in a heartbeat, Donald Trump again, because he's chemical chemotherapy. One round of chemotherapy didn't do it. So we need to do a second round of chemotherapy.
And
it's going to be rough. It's going to be hard. Boom. But we're going to do it.
For?
What? Who?
Now, he's not officially running. However, he officially didn't rule out running.
Oh, no. I was going to ask you two things.
I'd vote for Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban
would be great.
I'd vote for the Cubes. One thing I will say, though.
Yeah, I would really like a Mark Cuban
candidacy. I will say about Mark Cuban, though.
Yeah.
He really, really blew it with the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks should have 3 NBA titles right now, and they've won. He blew it multiple times running the Mavericks. And hey, we brought up sports references before, man. If you can't handle your franchise, let me tell you something. Every year when basketball free agency starts, you know what team always has cap money and is in the running for a big free agent? Mark Cuban. Yeah. Every year, Mavericks got this cap money. Are they going to get this star? No, they never do. It might sound goofy, but I'm looking at Mark's performance.
Maybe he's got too much on his plate. He's spread a little too thin. He's not excelling in one thing because he's got too much going on.
Loves the Mavericks. Mark Cuban loves the Mavericks. I just think basketball's tough. I get it. Excuse me, but dude made a lot of mistakes running the Mavericks that cost them rings, and I'm not going to overlook that. I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. And to a certain extent, it's okay to look at somebody's past performance in other ventures to wonder how well they would do in future ventures. A lot of people were criticizing the multiple bankruptcies of Donald Trump and everything. I think, in California, it's so interesting how we choose to vote. I know a lot of people here that I fully support still wanting to write in Yang. I would like to see Andrew Yang's political clout increase. And sometimes I think the only way to do that is by putting numbers up on the board, whether it's money or votes. Money or votes is the only thing these people care about.
Anyway,
and if you could show a big time, post game contingency still, I think you do well. Anyway, we got a super chat here.
Yes.
90K plus deaths in over 2 months says Scapo. This is serious, Cardin. no matter how much you want to downplay it. No, it's not downplaying it, Scapo. And that's only what the leftist media wants you to think. Anybody that detests our lockdowns. No, I am a huge civil rights guy. And it's not about owning the libs. It's about owning those that don't like civil rights. And the people most infringing our civil rights now are not the liberals, because liberals are good people. They're the leftists and those that enable them in the media. Okay. First off, 90K plus deaths in over 2 months. I don't believe all those numbers, especially with what we've been seeing from doctors being pressured into misreporting. Okay. Not to say that it's not a lot, but I don't believe 90K.
One thing that's interesting about that, just 3 points. One thing that's very interesting, and I wonder, because I understand the reason for it. As far as I understand, rightfully so, the federal government will step in and pay hospitals for the care they give to COVID patients.
Yes.
Because it's like a federal However, that does unfortunately incentivize hospitals
misreporting.
to give everybody, because I know somebody, and again, this is anecdotal, I'm not saying everyone does this everywhere, but like an anecdotal situation, there's somebody, I know somebody who has a family member who had COPD for years.
Yeah.
And now they're writing coronavirus down more. And the thing is, for the hospital's perspective, though, they're like, we get this is just free care.
And this
why shouldn't we just write this? Like, they're taking the bill and writing free on it. They're like, why shouldn't we be doing this? I understand that perspective.
I completely agree with you. And gosh, I'd probably be doing the exact same thing. But I will just reject a statement of, hey, this is serious. And this insinuation that I'm not taking it seriously, because I'm a huge guy. I love facts-based and evidence-based approach to most governing. Unless it's a moral question, hey, let's see what the science says and let's see what the number says. But science is the most misused word of the past 25 years, because science has become 100% political. And if you don't think it's not political, you need to look up something called the Ricky Martin effect. The Ricky Martin effect has happened to the coronavirus, okay? When Ricky Martin was popular, the LA Unified School District all of a sudden noticed like a 15 to 25% spike of Latino students registered as students. They're like, what? How have we had this massive influx of Latin American students in the LA Unified School District? And they went through the numbers and they realized that you could traditionally sign up as like, white, Pacific Islander, African American, non-white, Hispanic, or whatever it was, And a lot of these people that were just checking the other or the normal box because Ricky Martin had been popular those 2 years were actually saying, yeah, dude, I'm Latino because Latino's cool. You know what I'm saying? And the number spiked 15 to 20%. Was that because there was this massive influx from Latin America? And a bunch of students all of a sudden registered to vote in LA Unified School District? No, there was traditional growth numbers. But it was popular at that time, okay? Ricky Martin was popular at that time, so popular that people were re-registering their ethnicities when they were registering to vote and when they were going to school. And so it gave a misrepresentation of the facts on the ground. That's what's happening to coronavirus right now. Due to financial constraints, doctors are being pressured into reporting ways they never, ever would to chase after that money.
Well, I mean, that's
and
one
it's
reason,
creating this hysteria where we're starting to think, we're doing things we wouldn't do for any other virus.
I feel like you've just used a lot of words and energy to explain that human beings have this innate fear of the unknown. We did not know what coronavirus was going to lead to.
Yeah,
Dude,
but
I have to admit,
at that time you need to stick to your principles the most.
I have to admit, in January, I was like staying up late at night, reading news coming out of would it be Hubei? Is that how I pronounce it? Hubei, the province in China where Wuhan was. I was reading news like, this is terrifying. If this comes here, oh my God, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I don't remember those days, and you would get mad at me when I was saying, "Bro."
But here's the thing.
No,
because the thing.
Yeah.
We still don't know. I have to admit, I'll say I'm getting stir crazy. I'm ready to go out. I don't care anymore. I'm stir crazy. But that's not saying that like I'm also confident people won't get sick again. I just don't know anymore. I've known so little for so long. I can't say anything anymore. Right? It's like I don't know, man. What is it going to do? How long is it going to last? How bad is it going to be? We don't know.
I'm going to rip off Drake Wheeler's comment here.
So I think erring on the side of caution, like honestly, I still disagree with everything you've said up until like maybe 10 days ago. I think about the last week or so, this notion that we need to move towards still social distance, still wear masks, but
hold
let
on.
people go
Why?
outside. Because
okay, but
there's
why
a lot
is social distancing? There is no science to social distancing
every science,
unless you are the sick person that should be quarantined completely.
Do you know why we were worried about coronavirus in the first place? I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It's the last thing I'm going to say. Do you know why we originally were worried about it?
Because the media was hyping it up.
Dude, I swear to God, you are brain damaged by the media. Like, you will walk outside and have a flat tire because somebody slashed your tire and left a note saying, I live next to you and I hate you, and you'll say these goddamn lit media types. Dude, what I'm telling you is this. What frightened everybody originally about coronavirus was this. You could be contagious for potentially 14 days without showing symptoms.
Yeah.
That's what the social distancing was for, because you could feel fine, in good faith say you are not sick, and be contagious.
And what did I
that
say
is
from the
why
beginning?
we had I'm telling you,
And I said from the beginning, that's the
That's
exact
still true.
same as a million and
Okay.
one other viruses that
Okay,
already exist
exactly.
in our society.
But we know
and we
more-
don't
no,
mitigate those
but
risks
we
like
know-
we did
but because
coronavirus.
we know more about it. I guess it's a dumb discussion. Just because the lockdowns have gone on too long doesn't mean your dumbass point that they were never useful is right. They've gone on too long. Yes, they were useful at some point.
Oh no, I agree, and I don't think there's a single person.
It's like someone saying that, like it's like someone trying to pass a law saying you need like a full NASCAR harness to drive, and someone saying those damn seatbelts. I told you we never needed them. It's like, dude, we still need the seatbelt.
No,
you don't need a
hold on.
NASCAR harness.
There's not a
but
single-
you need the seatbelt.
There's not a single person, and I'm on record from this. You can go back and look at all of our live streams, and look at all of our videos, and finally the rest of the world is coming back to what I was saying 6 weeks ago, okay? And I was saying this. I don't think anybody in their right mind is really that opposed to anything up to 2 weeks to help flatten curves or to help our society function at its healthy best. None of us wants to see the elderly infected. None of us want to see the young go or anything like that. So, and these churches that were complaining at the beginning that they had to skip a Sunday or two, I thought that as a guy that goes to church every Sunday, I was like, dude, chill out. You need to have good online game for your church anyway. God doesn't care if you miss church for a couple of days.
We're already at an hour.
2 weeks,
Get to the
okay,
point.
fine. 2 weeks, I'm down with.
No, you weren't, by the way. By the way, like you said, go back and look at our videos. Go back and look at our videos. You were bitching and moaning nonstop.
Yeah, because it had already been 2 weeks.
No, because you said it was never useful. We don't need it. It's all me. Okay, dude, I'm not going to relitigate the history of coronavirus.
Okay.
I'm going to touch on two things.
Okay.
First thing I want to do is I'm going to touch on the street corner in Albania.
Rock on.
That has it's the intersection of Donald J. Trump Boulevard, I believe. And I believe, I don't know if Albania has anything to do with French. Rue is road in French.
Rue is road in French.
The only
So it's
reason why
gotta be.
Ruga might mean, and I believe that's Albanian for George, because there's actually a statue of George W. Bush in Albania. And then I wanted to just let you guys know that, because, and do you want to know why the statue?
What if they need to put an embassy on the corner of that street?
Do you know why there's a statue of George W. Bush in Albania?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think, wasn't that the small country that he actually visited in person?
He was one of the first American
Yeah,
presidents
he was one of the first American presidents
to visit post-Soviet Union Albania. So
Yeah.
that was why.
Well, it's just
And
like there's
somebody-
that little bar to Ronald Reagan in Ireland where the Reagan family comes from.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
well, I mean,
And he'd
just, you know,
visited it or something like that. Okay. So Scapo.
People were asking one thing. People were asking
Okay.
about anyone who just joined, how is Chuck E. Cheese lying? We're going to run through this one last time. If you're using a food delivery app and you see Pasquale's Pizza on it, it's not Pasquale's Pizza. Chuck E. Cheese knows ain't nobody ordering Chuck E. Cheese pizza to eat. So they're actually hiding themselves as Pasquale's Pizza. Why are they doing it? They claim they're doing it because Pasquale's Pizza is a new homemade fresh dough, but it's a different type. It's all lies. They're doing it because no one's going to buy their pizza otherwise.
Yeah. So we got a super chat here. Scapo says, watch the Asian boss video with Kim Woo-ju, SK top infectious disease expert regarding COVID-19, has scientific-centric, non-politicized data for you to look in. Okay, well, first off, how do you know that it's non-politicized? And science-centric, okay, based upon numbers, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics, but that's fine. We'll analyze it. I would encourage everybody here to watch basic videos on epidemiology and virus for continuing education the pest control guys got to take. Before this all happened, so we know it's truly non-political.
Before we get to that.
And you'll see. Yeah.
I got some advice for everyone always.
Thank you for the super chat, Scapo.
I got some advice from everyone always, right?
Great hair in his profile.
I want you, anyone who's sitting around talking about what we need to do for this or what we don't need to do this, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to pick some topic you damn well know nothing about. I mean, nothing. Didn't know it existed 6 months ago like this. and then go up to someone and start explaining to them your dumbass opinions. No offense. It's one of the reasons why I'm not super on what we should or shouldn't be doing. I'll just tell you what I feel about it. I don't know. I do not know what we should or shouldn't do. I know what I feel about it. I don't know what we should and shouldn't do, man. I really don't. Well, anyone tells you they do, by the way, lying to you.
No, that's not true.
Hold on. No, you're right.
I have to
lying
fight
to
off,
themselves. Explain.
No.
I
have
no
to
one
fight
knows,
off
man.
viruses every day as part of my employment.
Okay,
I spray viricides.
but that's
I work in pest control
don't
all day
care.
long. I've
Don't
taken
care.
30
Don't care.
classes
Don't care.
on avoiding getting sick from viruses, whether it's
but
rats,
here's the
roaches,
thing.
whatever.
Here's the thing. When a new
And none of what we're doing is scientific.
Okay, but when a new virus comes up, we don't know what to do. Hey, by the way, you're talking about me with science? You know what my stance on science is? All science is a long, well-documented history of people getting things wrong and looking stupid over and over again until, by some small miracle, someone's not wrong. Somebody, for once in the human history... Let me tell you how wrong science normally is. If you do science and you're not wrong and aren't proven to be a fraud, we'll build like a fucking statue of you because everybody's wrong and everybody doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yes, but
everything ends up being stupid. Everything ends up being false. Everything ends up getting thrown out.
No,
the
hold
few people who do work that isn't completely thrown out by the time 100 years have passed get statues. They get books. They get universities named after them. They'll name centers after you. They'll name streets after you. Because guess what? You were the 1 in a trillion scientist who didn't just get everything wrong. So we're going to make you a god because that is how frequently that happens. Okay. Never. There's never every time anyone ever. There's the occasional breakthroughs, which by the way we talk about for 1,000 years.
Interject, Cody.
I'm done. What is it?
Okay. The way that you keep from being wrong, because what you're talking about is the dogmatic pre-scientific method past.
No, okay. It's so, dude. I can't tell you how much times people have run through the scientific. I can't tell you how many well thought out, honest studies have been done.
But the scientific
that have led
method
to results that we've said, sorry, those are bullshit.
Okay, the scientific method is not about being well thought out. Okay, it is about literally making a control group, having a repetitive study done in which observations can be gleaned in a dependable manner upon that control group.
Okay,
and then testing that hypothesis multiple times until you can glean facts about it. And then having those facts peer-reviewed and repeated. If we actually would use the scientific method before we called something science, it would fail less often.
Hold on. Why did we give people lobotomies? Is it because we thought they were stupid and backwards and barbaric and accomplished nothing? Is that why? Is it because no smart scientist sat down and wrote long dissertations about how going through my methods, it's good to give someone lobotomy? Why did we do it? Are we just morons? Were the people that were just sadists out there giving them? Or did scientists convince themselves they would help? Is that why we did them? Because I want to go back to
I think that was before the modern ethics argument.
Somebody said, Kristen Solid, I'm calling you out. Oh, actually... I'm not calling you a Christian Farrow and Christian Salt. They're the same person. But yeah, like, seriously, do you know why we talk about E equals MC squared? Do you know why you know what that means? Because it was one of the few times a scientist wasn't a fucking bitch, so got everything wrong. That's why you still talk about it, okay? Most of the stuff is just wrong. It's just false. We find out later. Like, one of my favorite things is Sigmund Freud's one of the most famous psychologists ever. Psychiatrist, whatever. Yeah. Almost all of his work's been discredited. Almost all of it.
But has it? What's been discredited? Because he has theories that never can be proven nor disproven.
He made theories that people have just said, like,
he's like Rasputin.
I'm saying is people, a lot of people have came and you know what, they're scientists doing this. A lot of people have came and said, you know what, that ain't it, man. It's just, there's a reason why when a scientist has the legitimate breakthrough, we really take note because 50 million scientists put a bunch of just dumbass nonsense out there before that got nowhere. And we said, oh, I remember when we listened to you scientists on all this stuff that was wrong. I remember when we did all these surgeries, all this nonsense. We put people through this garbage. We had these machines that none of them worked. And none of them did anything because science was wrong and lied to us.
Yeah, but you're also talking
about...
that
person rises above and actually smart and makes a breakthrough. And we worship them like deities because we're like, oh my God, dude, everyone got this wrong forever. And you figured it out. You're like a god to us now because everyone else is just... Gets, another reason why I say that is not trying to besmirch scientists. It's hard stuff, man. It's like, you just don't listen to what anyone says. People can have things that are well thought out and they think they've done right, and we just come out later and say, no, that's wrong. We figured out, times passed and we figured out that doesn't work. We did more research and we figured out actually That's counterproductive. That's counterintuitive. That isn't what we want to be doing to people. And it's just, when we find out for these breakthroughs, they're like mind-blowing, but that's what happens.
Yeah, well, see, also,
How many Apollo missions were there, right?
I agree with a lot of what you say, but you're referencing over almost 100 and plus year old instances of science what we basically all agreed on is the ethics of doing experiments.
How many people that risked people's lives, sending them to space in a rocket, said, I got my figures right, this will work? And how many people asked the Discovery crew if they believed the scientific method was going to protect their ass going up? Ask them. But all of them would have said yes. This is studied. We will be safe. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gotten the rocket, man. They believed the science, and it was wrong, and it cost them all their lives. And that happens like all the time.
Uh-huh.
And you know what we do? Because human beings are great at this. We have short memories. We gloss over them. Whatever, man. Moving on. Maybe the next time we'll be right. Like, seriously, how many Apollo missions did it take?
Okay.
If I remember right, wasn't it Apollo 13 we talk about? Because a lot of smart, and the thing is, these are legitimately smart people. Legitimately working their ass off, doing everything they can to figure this stuff out. It's just, lo and behold, we're not gods, man. This is hard stuff to figure out. You might lose a few spaceships. A few planes might crash. A few boats might sink. Lives will be lost.
Well, more than a few will sink if it's politicized. That's why we have to keep politics out of science.
But the point being is, my larger point is, even if you keep politics out, lives will be lost. Always. Because we are not perfect.
Oh, yeah. No.
We don't know everything.
That's not what I'm arguing.
So we get
I'm
so
just saying
much
here,
wrong for so much.
This all stemmed from the fact that I said we are doing an unscientific and purely political approach to the current situation. This is what this whole argument, and I stand by that comment. These are not informed individuals driving us. It is a bunch of politicians. The phrase, the only thing a politician fears is the media, has never been more true in my life than now. All these politicians are taking these not even conservative, but these wild stances in order to protect themselves from attacks of irresponsibility and not caring about whether you kill my grandma or not that are made from the media, protecting themselves from a boogeyman that exists from the media. Yes, we have a virus, and it's a bad one, similar to lots of the other bad ones that we've had before. And now we're taking a bunch of measures that have no scientific proof for helping, no different than any control groups that haven't had these lockdowns, and literally just brutalizing our economy for pretty much almost no damn good reason.
Okay, but what if the inverse...
And that's not science to me.
But yes, you know why? Because you're, no offense, one of those people. Science is the god. When it's right, it's science. When it's wrong, you're an idiot.
No, I'm not science is the god. I'm saying science is the guideline. And when science becomes politicized, that's when it becomes a dogmatic god.
And you know what science points to? It points to social distancing. Outdoors around
it does
others.
not.
Yes, it does. It works. It works.
No, what works is not contracting the virus. And if you're sick, you quarantine the sick, not the healthy. Now, as a byproduct of social distancing and social distancing everybody, you end up social distancing the sick. Dude. Yes, you're right.
I'll tell you what, dude. Just get sick. Just get sick and get it over with, so you can stop bitching at the government for ruining your life. Just get sick, get in the hospital.
Actually, it's not my life that's ruined.
I don't say. I'm saying, dude,
no, my life's just fine. In fact, I feel bad for the people who this has ruined.
What I'm saying is, we don't know what could have been worse. We were looking at cities with bodies stacking up. We didn't know what to do. People overreacted. I disagree with you up until like 7-8 days ago when they've gone too far. But for the most part, it made sense what we were doing. It did.
Okay. So anyway, I've said from the very beginning, we're taking this too far. It will go too far. Okay. And as long as we allow this to be a media-driven hysteria instead of a wisdom and science-driven response to the pandemic, we are lost as a society.
But the thing is, science, again, the reason why I'm talking about, I bitch at science, the scientific community is constantly at ends with itself. There is, whenever someone tells you scientific consensus, if they ain't talking about gravity or shit, they're lying, dude. There's no scientific, there's always groups of scientists that say, my science is correct. I remember one of the more fascinating Joe Rogan podcasts, there's this place, I think it's called Göbekli Tepe. It's like one of the oldest sites ever discovered.
It's awesome.
He had like 4 different archaeologists come on and explain their theory about it. 4 smart people who've been to the site. My point is this, dude. There's always
4 smart people. But Göbekli Tepe is so controversial because it puts the entire archaeological community on its head.
But my point exactly. Why is coronavirus controversial? The thing is, there is competing elements. There's smart people who've ran the numbers who are convinced they're right on every single side.
Okay.
That's why you can't
But
just
here's
say,
the difference,
hold on one
Cody.
second. It's the reason why you can't say they're a smart person and they ran the numbers. They probably are. There's a smart person who ran the numbers on the wrong side of every argument ever. Because no one's a god. No one knows
how
everything.
do you know that one of them
So
isn't
there's-
actually dumb enough to prioritize politics over true science? And it's not two equally smart people competing with differing opinions, but one person motivated by truth and another person motivated by status or ego that is corrupting his approach. Because like Göbekli Tepe, I love, basically proves through multiple channels of measurable quantifiers that we weren't just hunter-gatherers 50,000 years ago, but advanced human beings that had advanced societies.
What do you mean by we?
As human beings, our race,
So
our species.
So one second. So the human beings, again, my point being this. We can get...
And the narrative has been that we're 10,000 years old, and all the people getting money and grants from the 10,000-year-old theory are all of a sudden going to lose those monies and grants if there's this new theory that's been proven correct by Göbekli Tepe. So, of course, they're going to fight it tooth and nail because they don't want to have to...
Hold on. Are there people who would make money if their research saying that coronavirus wasn't a big deal and we should reopen? They don't exist. There's no competing interest. There's always competing interest. We find out, generally speaking, 10 years later who was right. And guess what? If the right person was on the quote-unquote wrong side of history, we bury that shit real quick. Never happened.
So let's not call the competing interests science. Let's call them competing interests.
It is
and then let
science.
science be this thing that is third party to the
I don't think you
competing
understand.
interests.
The way science works is human beings are unique and we have different perspectives. There's a reason why one person can approach a problem mankind has been struggling with for 50 years and an individual could solve it because their unique perspective let them get through it. It's the reason why we invite everyone to the table to discuss science. Even though you and you are dumb and wrong, we invite you all to the table.
But to me, then that's not
because
science,
we
that's
don't
philosophy.
It's not philosophy. Do people do their data and show their results and say,
Because science
this is what I found?
science isn't about a bunch of people coming to the table and discussing what they
not
think
discussing.
gravity is. It's about testing what gravity is.
You show your results, your studies.
Okay.
What did you find in your research? And you share what you found in your research, done scientifically. You do.
Okay. And if all of us are doing our research according to the scientific method, basic theories will show up being consistent amongst all studies. Gravity is 9.82 meters per second.
How many
no matter
scientific
where you
laws
are
are
in the
there?
world.
How many laws are there of nature? How many? Let me ask you a question. Better question. How much damn money you make you discover a new law in nature? Let me ask you that much right now. How much damn money you make? $1 billion? Think we named the planet after you discover the next one? Maybe so.
All the money-making chances for those laws were in the 1800s, and those guys are dead and buried.
No, I'm thinking, if you discover a new law, you think you make money doing that? Yeah, you do. You think people are interested in it? Yeah, they are. You think they can? No. Science isn't magic.
Okay.
It isn't, dude. It isn't magic. You cannot, no offense to humanity, you can't sit there and reason yourself to magic. We don't get to reason ourselves to the stars. You know when we get to the stars? We blow up goddamn rockets in the atmosphere and say,
Look,
well,
I'll tell you right now,
that ain't it. That's how we get to the stars,
Cody,
man. You don't reason your way there.
put a
You launch
Mentos-
20 rockets into the sky and you say, which one makes it? That was the right one. You think there wasn't smart people with well thought out science that made sense, that stood up to the scientific method? We will put human beings inside something that can kill them based on someone else's calculations, and sometimes they die because they were wrong.
Okay.
Because sometimes science isn't magic. It is not infallible. Human beings that are flawed can have flawed interpretations, flawed readings of data. They can come in from flawed angles, and they can make mistakes. And it happens all. My point is this. I hate when people come to me saying, science, science, science. Dude, science only holds up till the next smart guy comes along and proves them all wrong and dumbass. That's how it works.
Okay.
Science works great until someone comes along and goes, you know you're stupid, right? You know that's not true, right? You know we figured out something better, right? And then we just forget about that stuff. We don't talk about it.
If you don't think science exists,
It does exist. But what I'm saying is science, scientific breakthroughs are minor miracles. and we do a very good job of ignoring the 99% of science that's bunk or comes up to nothing. Because guess what? Even if you figure something out, even if you're smart, even if you use your ration, even if you use a scientific method, even if you're a tenured professor at a university, even if you're getting grants, even if you're working your ass off and legitimately trying to give people the data, you will still get stuff wrong like most of the time, man.
Okay, Cody.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But as human
That's
beings,
fine.
we have to do a good enough job of realizing just because something is quote unquote science doesn't mean we bow to our knees and say, oh my God, thank you. It means we remain critical and say, okay, but is that actually right or not?
If you don't think science is magic, Cody, you need to put a Mentos in a Coke bottle and watch the magic happen.
I'm saying all of this stuff, like.
I just think science is like everything else has been politicized now,
But it hasn't been-
and every stupid thing is done in the name of science now.
But you mean science is politicized now? Do you want to tell me the name of the guy who had to
More
flee?
so than
No.
previously.
Oh, yeah. More so than previously. When they're
Yeah.
going to kill my ass for saying the sun doesn't revolve around Earth. That was when politics was out of science. Politics was out of science. And people weren't going to try to hang me down and weren't going to hang me from a tree because I said that the Earth was flat or the Earth was round.
So Trump or for Yang.
Or how about this? Let me say this. Was science not politicized when people would have stoned you to death for saying the stars aren't gods, right? Like, what are you talking about, man? Science has always been politicized.
So first off,
the truth
there's
has always
some
been
holes in your
politicized.
theories. The Greeks would not stone you to death. That was generally a Middle Eastern principle. The Greeks would throw you off cliffs. All right, for not believing that the stars were gods.
Hold on. I want to get. So somebody said, Sully Joe, that's BS. You think DNA? Dude, why do we talk about DNA? Why do they sit your ass down in school and tell you what DNA is? Because it was one of the few times in the history of man we weren't wrong. They will write chapters about it. People will be born and die studying this thing because we found out we weren't wrong. We found out, damn, we actually got this one right. That's why. Pick something else. Pick the 30 million things no one writes about because it was wrong and bunk and stupid. And we don't do it anymore. Don't pick the 5 or 6 things we put in goddamn textbooks because we're so amazed we got right.
Well, see,
I don't understand it.
I think you and I are saying a very similar thing, but just with different words. Because, for example, one of the biggest miscarriages of scientific justice ever was the vilification of DDT. There was a bunch of studies that were done in which DDT had to get vilified because we were about to create the EPA, and Rachel Carson had written The Silent Spring, and there was enough public interest in a lot of these environmental policies that we got to strike when the iron is hot. We got to pass it now, but we need something to blame. And so she wrote this book that blamed DDT for basically everything. And in order to prove it, the scientists gave aflatoxin-laced food to the lab rats that they were treating on, giving them tumors so they could thus call DDT a
but here's my
carcinogen
point, though.
when it never was.
What are the things we want to use science to do we can't do?
Well, see.
What are those things? Why can't we do it?
So what was your question?
What are the things we're trying to use science to do we can't do?
What are the things we're trying to use science to do that we can't do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How about this? Keep everybody at home in quarantine, shut down the economy, and have a huge, massive power orgasm.
How about
That's
science
why.
talking about like the creation of a vaccine to be through science? How many things is it we want to use science to do we can't? Because we're just not smart enough, man. It's difficult. Like there are certain, like you're talking about DNA, dude. Like, dude, some of this shit took us 500 years to get right. And people be like, yeah, but I heard somebody publish a study. They must know what dude, some of this stuff, like, human beings will live and die studying a subject. They will pass their life work onto somebody who will live and die studying the subject and pass that work off to someone else who will eventually find the answer. Okay. And it's like, I'm not invalidating the lives of those people who died finding it. I'm just saying, we can't look at science as always being right. There's people that will spend their entire life getting something wrong just to pass the data on to the next person. I'm not trying to invalidate science. I'm trying to say is this. When we get stuff right, it truly is a miracle. Because we get so much wrong around it. But by the way, what is the famous light bulb quote? It took somebody like 25 tries to make a light bulb. I think it's Edison. And he said, I just simply learned 24 ways to not make a light bulb. Science is not failure, but it's figuring out what doesn't work so you can get to what does.
He's an evil man that stole other people's patents.
He was, but still, my point being is there's nothing wrong with the 40 answers you cross off to help you get to the right one. All 40 of those answers helped you find the right one. What I'm saying is don't bow down to the 40 wrong answers because they're science.
Okay.
Appreciate them for what they are, steps on a trail to that actual answer. And then
Okay, yeah,
every now
and those steps would happen faster if they weren't
No,
politicized,
they don't.
Cody.
They
would happen
no,
faster.
they don't. They take hundreds of years always because it's tough. It's like we're talking about, like, I love how it's like, why can't we unlock the questions of the universe in my lifetime? God dang it! It's like, cause dude, like.
Okay, well, let me get to
We're
some
going
super chats and
thousands
some
of years
comments
on
here.
this stuff,
Super chats
man.
and some comments here. Scapo says, thank you very much for the super chat, Scapo. Cody is mostly right here. It's a process of verifying truth. Yeah, literally, the scientific method is about verifying measurable quantifiers. Agreed. That's it, period. We're wrong until we are not. That's why peer review is so important. Yeah, I challenge any scientific group to analyze our response from day one to coronavirus. And there's not a single reputable group out there that would say
Hold on,
that let me finish,
you're
Cody.
missing a lot.
I have let you go on some
but I'm
serious
saying
diatribes
You're
here.
skipping over a lot.
Okay, no, I'm not skipping over. I'm analyzing this comment. That's why peer review is so important. Yeah, there was no peer review on a response to this. Okay, this has been, yes, different than other viruses, but how? Explain to me
Wait,
how.
hold 1 second.
Okay.
I'll tell you how it was different. Wait, science was wrong and
About
told
what?
us the mortality rate would be higher. It told us the infection rate would be higher. How? Scientific method, measurable quantifiers.
Because we were taking numbers from China who was lying.
But I'm saying is this, dude. Again, science doesn't work always. Sometimes we have to
Yeah,
look
because
at
that's not science.
Okay,
If it's not,
it is. No, hold on.
No,
Shut
a
up.
guy lying to us for
1
political
second.
reasons is not science.
No, do you know
Cody.
what science is? Do you know what science is? If I drop this ball, it'll bounce 100 feet. You drop it, it bounces 5, and you go,
Like,
well,
see,
damn,
I have a different
was
definition
wrong.
of science than
And-
you do. Like,
okay.
I
guess you have a dumbass wrong definition. I love it.
Only
Keep going.
facts that have been proven through the scientific method are actually science.
That isn't science, dude. Science is this. I'm going to grab this baseball, throw it 100 miles an hour, and it will do this. And you grab a baseball,
Okay.
you throw it 40 miles an hour, it doesn't do it, and you write the fucking results down, and that's science. Science is
observation.
Science is if I plant. No, that's a scientific method. If I plant this tree here, it'll grow this high, and you mark it every day. How high is it growing? And you go, well, damn, I'm a dumbass. Didn't grow as high as I thought. That's science. I'm sorry that we cannot use science to conjure solutions to real world problems. We can't. We try our best and we're wrong almost always. And when we get it right, you get a goddamn statue, okay?
Okay.
Because it's that hard.
Okay,
and it's
you're
that
right.
important to get
can't,
right.
we can't use it all the time. That's why we have values that we espouse going into situations such as freedom of assembly, freedom of this, freedom of that, freedom of the press, freedom of a speech, freedom of all these different things, because we recognize from the very beginning that if in a crisis and an emergency, you don't espouse these basic values when under stress, they don't matter. They're not really values, they're they're not really rights, they're permissions. And going back to Scapo's super chat is I want to know one serious scientific body that would peer review our response, would peer review, hey, let's have a society in which the media is constantly telling us that Ebola is going to kill us all. Oh, the planes are going to fall out of the sky. In which a hyper-partisan, inaccurate at best, sensationalist muckraking media can generate fear of these ghosts, and then science has to try and connect the dots behind the media instead of scientists, yes, making their errors but working their way through figuring out, cures for cancer.
Kirsten Solid had a great point. Science is data, exactly. And sometimes we look at a piece of data and just go, oh, that data shows our previous assumptions were wrong.
Okay, then that's our interpretation of the data.
No, it's not.
Was
I'm
wrong.
sorry. These real concepts exist. You don't get to just jiggle a concept till it's magic and solves your problem.
Okay,
we do our damn best, man. You know what the data was telling us early? Data was saying early mortality would be higher, infection would be higher.
Okay.
So we acted one way. Now data's telling us infection is lower, mortality is lower, so we're going to reconvene. I don't see why it's so crazy to you. Like,
okay, no, it's not that it's crazy.
You were asking what data were we...
It's because I have respect for the spoken word, and there's a reason why there are different words.
You were asking about the science, and the science was this. We had done studies.
I can't overspeak you.
We had done your magic, and your magic told us the mortality rates would be higher.
I'm not saying...
So
I
we
never
did that.
said
That's
this
what
is
the
magic.
science said. And then the science is
I
throwing
don't know.
other
Maybe
stuff.
it's because it's me. I can't communicate the difference between observation, science. Like there's a reason why these words are different words in the English dictionary, because different words have different meanings. And I have too much respect for the spoken word to allow science to absorb everything else that any other leftist wants it to absorb. Okay?
Again, all I'm saying,
Marion H.
All I'm saying is this, Cardin. You will wake up in the morning and stub your toe because the lights are off and go, goddamn leftist. It's just, dude, that's why when you bring it up.
That's not true.
That's why when you bring it up,
That's
sometimes I kind of roll my eyes because you'll get in your car and be like, I forgot to get gas last night. Goddamn leftist. You'll be driving and you'll be like, there's an accident causing me to be late for work. Goddamn leftist.
Can you pause indicting my character?
I'm just saying, dude.
For long enough for me to read a comment.
I'm just saying, man. It's like, are they in the room with us, right? It's everything's the leftist.
I wasn't talking about the leftists. I was saying we got a stupid and incompetent sensationalist media that is empowered and feared by a deeply incompetent state and bureaucracy that has way too much power over our lives and is ruining our economy for no good reason that cannot be backed up by science. And maybe that's maybe because of my personality or whatever, that I say that in an abrasive manner. So here, let me read Marion H's comment. Cardin was making a point, though, if the source of the data is entrusted, i.e. CCP, you can't take it as part of the experiment. That's exactly what I'm saying. Too much science, in air quotes, has become corrupted so much that we can't accept it as part of the experiment.
Okay, but that's a separate issue. That there's politicized.
No, that is the issue of the day that's ruining our economy.
That isn't science, dude. Let me tell you something.
That's what I've been saying. You literally just said what I said.
No, but
and ridiculed me for 20 minutes.
I feel like you're talking about a different issue. Like, for example, if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, how about this? This is a great version of science being ignored. Hey, you'll probably lose weight and feel better if you drink less." That's science.
You'll lose weight and feel better if you drink less.
Alcohol, which is true.
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
And, people just kind of go like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Right? my point being is just if you just reject the data or you just falsely represent it and you say, how often you get this? Oh, no, but I only do X because X makes it yeah, I agree, man. If we're getting data from the communist Chinese government, I guess communist is kind of irrelevant. Just the Chinese authoritarian government is lying. By the way, though, you know who loves to lie? The great Satan, aka the United States of America. All these governments lie.
Okay.
But my point is this, though.
So then, if you're thinking that our approach is so scientific, show me what science it's based on that isn't corrupted by politics.
But that wasn't the point.
We can't.
But okay, if you're arguing science is so corrupted by politics it's useless, I guess. I argue science is very useful. It's just important to keep in mind. Some breakthroughs do take 250 years. You don't live 250 years. You'll never live to see them. You have to just trust the fact that the combined knowledge of human beings for a long time will get us there eventually. That's all I'm saying, man. You have to just understand that, we might not find the answer to the thing you want the answer to until your grandchildren can experience it because science is difficult. But we can't say that there's some conspiracy holding us back. It's just we aren't smart enough yet.
I will never attribute to conspiracy that which can be explained by incompetence.
It's not
and
even
this is wild incompetence.
It's just, some things are really hard, and we won't.
You don't think our response is incompetent? We are far smarter in this. We know way too much about viruses. We have educational apparatuses that we could engage to educate our public how to safely navigate a world that's got a virus walking through it. And then we also need to accept the fact that if a country breeds a virus in a lab in Wuhan and it accidentally gets out, okay, that it's going to do its damage whether it's in a month or a year or 2 years. Once the cat's out of the bag, it's going to go through the neighborhood. And the only thing we can do is slow the spread. And we all got on board with this idea that we're going to slow the spread, we're going to blunt the curve, choose your moniker. That's what we agreed to for 2 weeks. But then once they'd gotten us inside and gotten control over all of our lives, and we'd given the government temporarily power over our basic civil rights, they said, oh, we kind of like this. Now you have to stay inside for something you didn't agree to, which is you got to stay inside until we can beat this thing, which is this open-ended, never going to happen, unscientific boogeyman.
I get it, man. You don't like the lib governments. I hear it.
No, no. See, now you are just putting onto what I said. I said nothing about
libs. You said
libs.
you don't like the politicization of the stuff. I get it, man.
Yeah, and there's other politicization that exists besides red versus blue. There is, for example, statists versus populists.
I got to tell you something.
There's government versus citizen.
I got to tell you something, man.
Yeah,
you can continue on your own. It's 90 minutes. I'm done. Have a great night, everybody. Because talking in circles, this is my point. My point is this. Sometimes science says a lot of people are going to die if we don't do something. And we go, oh my God, that's crazy. And then we react. And then we find out, actually more people are sick than we thought. So less people might die. Maybe it's not a big deal. And then if we're going to listen to science in the first place, we should listen to the second place. That's my only point. My point is this. Science evolves. very few things that are written, the like laws and science, we don't touch after 1,000 years. Almost all this stuff we keep testing, we keep adjusting, we keep trying to improve. My point is this: science isn't a monolith. It's not that it's wrong because it's stupid. I don't want to get that point, but it's wrong because we just haven't got the right answer yet. Sometimes we can only go off what you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, man. Like, so people make decisions based on the facts they have every day, and if the decision proves wrong based on those facts, it's not that they're like some awful person. It's like, look, man, somebody, like, I remember at one point Gavin Newsom, and I'm critical of his response, but at one point Gavin Newsom said that he was operating under the response that like half of the state would get it, half of California would get sick, and that would lead to like millions of deaths. Dude, if I'm operating in good faith and I'm just, my people tell me the science says we might lose like 2 million people, dude, I'd be doing all kinds of crazy stuff to lock the doors down, right? But I just agree that when the scientists come back and say, actually, maybe it won't be that bad, they need to listen then too. That's all I'm saying. Okay. There was nothing wrong with listening the first time. It's just we need to listen now. Like, there's nothing wrong with someone coming to you and saying, you might lose 1 million of your constituents and being like, that's insane. I will do anything. Dude, if I led a country and someone told me 1 million of the people that are tasked under my leadership will die, it would like pain me so deeply, I would do things I normally wouldn't. I understand that. But I do agree we need to move on. I apologize if it got heated, but it's hot in here, one thing. But either way, I do agree that there needed to be a sense of, we need to look at it again and go, hold on a minute. We listened the first time, but we've also amended some of those data since. And maybe we should listen to the data again, which might lead to a different response. That's all I'm saying, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with someone looking and saying, holy cow,
that's literally what I've been saying the whole time. I've been saying the whole time that just like you literally just said right now, science evolves. So I think because I knew walking into this pandemic that science evolves. And because scientific opinion can evolve or can be uninformed based upon limited data, our values should not, because our values will be the guideline. Okay? That's why we have ethics. That's why we have these beliefs and these rights in the Constitution.
What about this though? I have a question.
Yes.
There's sometimes where somebody says this. They don't say, I'm using politics. People don't always say, I'm using my science to subvert politics. Some people say this: I'm really smart, and in my big brain, I came up with the super smart big brain plan. And there's no way my super smart big brain plan could be wrong. My brain is so large, I can only be correct. And people like that will kind of lie and pretend their data says something it doesn't. Not because of political, but like there's, I
could
agree.
Be a misinterpretation.
Don't get me
there
wrong.
Is human
I
error.
understand that there is certain branches of academia that have been taken over. People have political bents. I get that. But what I'm saying is there's also ego that gets in the way. There's also arrogance. But I'm saying it's one of the reasons why, in general, just remain skeptical of science. A lot of times, science disproves itself. The science that disproves the past science doesn't invalidate either. It's just the idea that we have to get better. It takes time. I don't know. I'll use another sport reference. There didn't used to be a three-point line in the NBA. Now all they do is jack up three-pointers because the science says it's better. Does that mean that people that when the three-point line existed who weren't taking threes were stupid or were idiots or didn't know the science? We just hadn't got there yet, man. They weren't dumb or wrong. They were just operating within the constraints of what they had. I remember famously, Kevin Garnett used to do this really weird thing where Kevin Garnett would actually stand with 1 foot in front of the three-point line and 1 foot behind it when he would shoot. And it's like, maybe he could pull his foot back. But there wasn't all of this data that pointed to how much better the three-point shot was. Doesn't mean he's dumb for doing it. It just didn't exist, dude. I don't people think I hate science. It's just I see science as a process. I see if like science is a graph, I see us here and we're trying to get here. So I understand like the stuff we're finding right now is, it's kind of like a lot of science is finding out ways to not make a light bulb. It doesn't invalidate it. A lot of science is saying, we think everybody's going to get sick and die. Oh, wait, we did some more references. Maybe that's not going to happen. That's just science at play. That's people testing hypotheses, running data, and seeing what comes out.
You literally just extolled the virtues of being skeptical of that, or of skepticism, sorry. And I would say that few were the scientists saying that as much as many were the media outlets declaring that, because their job is to be hysterical and sensationalist now in our society.
I'm not talking about media. I'm talking about the actual science. I'm talking about like actual real people who do real stuff. Like I get the media. Like I get that there's obviously biased actors acting in bad faith, but I don't know. There's always biased actors acting in bad faith. I just don't feel the need to always talk about them because they're always there. There's always somebody. Because here's the thing, dude. This is one thing I've been thinking a lot about always, right?
Yeah.
People that generally speaking aren't super interested in telling people how to live their lives are not going to seek out positions where you fundamentally, like, there is certain people that rise to certain points, but what I'm saying is there is also honest people who legitimately, honestly thought if we didn't lock down, coronavirus would have killed like 5 million people. And they don't think that because they're stupid. They don't think that because they don't think because they're dishonest.
You keep responding to something to ground. I've already said we all agree that at the beginning, like I'll put in somebody else's words.
The only reason why I bring it up is because you, from the beginning, said we don't need to do this. It's stupid. I'm just saying there's people who feel opposite for real reasons.
No, from the very beginning, I said we don't need to do this. It's stupid. However, I didn't slight people that wanted to take a more conservative approach because they felt less educated than I. Yes, you're right. I can have both emotions simultaneously. I can say, this is stupid, we shouldn't do this, but I'll go along with it because it makes everybody feel better as long as it's only 2 weeks.
What I'm saying is if you're going to listen to the science said, what I'm saying is this, if you're going to make the listen to the science, we'll end here. If you're going to make the listen to science argument, the listen to science argument originally was locked down and it's since evolved to social distance, wear masks, but get outside. Okay. But the thing, if we're going to listen to science, the science originally was locked down. That's what it said.
Okay, so
the
last
science
comment.
Originally said it was going to be bad. I'm saying, to you, if you're saying we should always listen to science, it did originally say locked down, and it's morphed. And the thing is, I agree. To your point, you made a good point about this. It did expose the people who weren't making science-based arguments. People who are making science-based arguments would have adapted to, there is some legitimacy to getting outside. Still, separate when you can, wear a mask if you can, but be outside. It's a good thing to do. Like, don't stay locked down. The people who've stayed dug in to what the science told us 4 months ago, I believe are dishonest, to your point. Now, I do differ in one sense. You've argued mostly dishonest due to political reasons. I think there are people dishonest due to arrogance reasons. But same point, and I agree. Sorry, I apologize if I was obtuse about that. But I agree, like, there is definitely people that have been revealed to not be listening to the science who originally seemed like they were because they agreed to lockdown, but since have just stayed where they were. And it's like, well, science has adjusted, dude. We figured out new things. Like, maybe there's other options. But all I'm saying is this, man. It's one of the dangers and, like, I guess it's one of the reasons why people have to legitimately listen to the science, not just say it. You have to legitimately do it. And when the science slaps you in the face and says we have to do a 180, you have to say, well, damn, that's what it says, right? I don't know. That's all I'm trying to say, man. I feel like because science doesn't change its mind, but because science is always evolving and changing, people will seem to latch on to certain findings and say, this is truth. And it's not always truth, man. Like, we find other findings later. And I think it's really important to maintain that way. So I guess, I don't know. I admit, I probably sounded like a dumbass for the last hour, and I apologize, but I do agree that does exist, where you have to legitimately mean it if you say you're going to listen to science. And here's the thing, though. And this is a real question, dude. Like, legitimately, man. I want you to think about this. What happens if you do listen to the science and the data does slap you in the face and say, take a 180, but what happens if it says...
Then we don't feel bad about taking a 180 because we're actually responding to the real scientific data.
But what about the instances where it doesn't just say take a 180 and it says something you held true is no longer true? It's not always that easy, dude. It's not always, I guess I'll bet red instead of black because I got a 51. I'm like, sometimes it's like, well, hold on a minute. I've held this thing to be true my entire life, and now some data point, and that is difficult. That's real. I don't know.
Yeah.
I made a very bad job of making that point that, like, that's a real problem, and I think we saw it happen in real time. And you see the dishonest people.
Saw it. We're watching it every single day.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there's so much, there's more to it. Like, I feel like because the thing is too, I also know you from day one have been saying, like, it's no big deal for locking down for nothing, and it's like this, and then you come at me with a science argument.
I'm not.
It's like,
I never said it's no big deal. I said
you said we're locking down for nothing. You did.
I said we are doing massive on a large scale measures that will do almost nominally and factually nothing.
Hold on one
and we
second.
will ruin our economy. So let me.
Yeah.
You've talked 20 to 1 on me on this path.
I want to ask you the question though, because Soljo had a point in showing. Soljo1 said, "How do you decide what's true?" My answer is none of our damn job to do that. I don't know what you think, but yeah, like, why is it up to anyone in this chat, or me or you included, to decide what's true? You have to make your best guess.
I'll tell you why. Because if I'm going to allow a
guess.
government to have constitutional authority over whether or not I can leave my front door or not, I want them making informed decisions, not political decisions. I want them relying upon scientifically verified facts,
hold on. As a
not
As
political
a
dogma.
religious person, do you not understand that truth has been something man's been searching for 3, 4, 5,
Yes,
6,
but
7,000
there's
years,
a huge difference.
and we never find it.
No, there's a huge difference.
So don't have the government tell you what's
hold
true.
On,
They
hold
can't.
on. That's not true, because there's a huge difference between a man saying, I choose to attend the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because I feel I have developed a personal relationship with God, and in a quiet moment of prayer, he has directed me towards this path. I swear, that is more scientific itself than half of these COVID-19 measures.
My question is this, man. Is there anything I could do to convince you you're wrong and that's not true? And how about
which thing? The COVID-19 measures?
Your beliefs. Your beliefs in God are wrong and not true. Is there anything you would even care about if I brought you up? Or is that just what you believe, man? And sometimes human beings do just believe in a thing and it's important to them. And it doesn't matter what science and facts
That's right,
and data
but
shows
do you
them.
not see the huge
difference?
difference?
Other people feel that way.
Okay, but hold on. There's a huge difference between me saying, I've read the Book of Mormon, and I feel like it's the best choice for me and my family. So as long as I'm in charge of myself, my own life, and my family's life, we're probably going to regularly attend this church, and doing that voluntarily and voluntarily giving my tithing and money to a church organization, that is wildly different than the measures that the government has imposed upon me under threat of law enforcement.
1 second.
Those are two wildly different things.
And I'm asking you the first question. Like, I think it's an interesting point to wrap up on, to get off the stupid coronavirus nonsense. It's an interesting point, man. If I told you I had a study in my hand that invalidates your beliefs, would you even care to read it?
Oh, no, of course I wouldn't. It would shake me to my core, I'm sure.
No, but I'm asking, is there part of you that would say...
Yes, of course I would, because I value truth.
So
I don't fear that.
But what I'm saying is, in your mind, there's a truth that disproves it. Like, there's some things that, like, dude, like, how could a study, right? I don't understand why your response wouldn't be, there's a study that disproves my beliefs in the universe.
But the thing is, you can't really disprove. People have been trying to disprove whether or not God exists or doesn't exist. And at this point, I think that the scientific detente between religions and science has understood that basically both are talking about the same thing. Both want to advance humanity, okay? Both have different ways of going about it. And we're never going to reach that answer.
But dude, my only point that I'm always trying to stress is just because I think it's important for people to understand, man. I do. First of all, I want to stress this point. Shout out to Sean Quinton for joining. Welcome to Problem Solved Politics.
By the way, you're looking super dapper with the, not pink tie, the salmon tie.
But this is the one point I want to bring up. Because, dude, like, I feel like a lot of times people miss this stuff and it frustrates me. Is that, like...
We got another one.
I don't know what you're pointing at.
We got a super chat.
Sorry. Ducky Hodges. What's up, Ducky Hodges? Hey, dude, hopefully... I don't know. I think Big Ben's back from his Tommy John surgery, but hopefully Ducky Hodges will see the field again. Anyway, hey gents, if you've seen that Mark Cuban sounds like Yang a whole lot of late, calling for a 1K bi-weekly and mentioning trickle-up economics. I have. It's also talking about federal job guarantee, I believe, but we are going to do a video about him, I think, tomorrow, rounding up some stuff. But, Christian Science. No, but dude, my only point I was trying to get to is this. I apologize. Sometimes hold on. Not sometimes. I will admit, and I apologize, I am almost 100% too abrasive when I come across with things. But it's just because I'm excited is what I like to say. But either way, I do apologize. But all I'm trying to say is this, man. Like, a lot of us understand the concept that there's multiple religions, and some religions, multiple sects within it, that are completely contradictory to each other. People believe it to their core, and we understand that's the thing.
Yeah, but they're voluntary, and they don't require other people to worship them.
That's not my point. My point isn't this, man. My point is just this, though. Why is it when it comes to... Like, why is it we don't understand that somebody can look at life and have a different conclusion than you, but they can't look at healthcare and draw a different conclusion than you? Why is that, man?
Oh, I don't care if they draw different conclusions. I just care if they make laws require me to follow their dogma.
But what I'm saying, dude, you're making laws to require them to follow your dogma.
No, I'm not.
Okay, but
I'm saying, no, I'm demanding freedoms.
Okay.
Making laws
hold on.
restricting freedoms is different than demanding constitutional freedoms.
I agree in that sense, but there's another sense where it's like there is like one person does legislate over another in one sense, and I don't think there's anything wrong with acknowledging the fact that ideas clash and one wins out, but there is this funny sense where it's like people will drive themselves crazy. How could anybody oppose or support Medicare for all? It doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, dude, it's never going to. It makes
you
sense
can
to
support
them.
Medicare for all day long as you are not requiring me to believe your dogma about it.
Okay, but the thing is, dude, to them, but the thing, from the opposite perspective, it's like, believe in my dogma. Dude, it's just the law I'm passing.
If you want to convince me
but
with facts and numbers
why?
how it will better the
It's
life
the
of me
law.
and my family, go for it.
But why?
I might even support you and vote for it and voluntarily adopt it.
But that's not how things work, man.
What do you mean that's not how people... That is literally what persuasion is all about.
Government works like this, man. You elect someone to represent you and they make decisions.
Well, no, you're right. Government is not persuasive, and that's why I'm saying we need to fight these unconstitutional takeovers of our constitutional rights.
The thing is that, like, there are people arguing from the opposite perspective that aren't arguing that I am intentionally stepping on constitutional rights. They're arguing I'm operating in my best faith to help people. And you can't just say, no, you're dumb and you're wrong. Like, you have to understand that. I don't know. I don't do it myself. It's one of the reasons why it frustrates me so much, because I don't even do it all the time. And I try to be better at it. But, like, it's like there are certain perspectives I will legitimately never hold. But I have to rationalize with the fact that those people get to vote still. And they get to hold the perspective I don't. I don't get to just damn them for it. Say, well, you're wrong. You'll never get what you want because I've deemed it wrong. Do you see what I mean? It's tough, man. And we generally speaking, because the thing that I've always found, you generally speaking find out later who was right.
Okay.
Because it's just hard. I don't know.
But you will have far less of those problems of doing damage to your society and then finding out later that you didn't have to do that damage if you stick to the tried and true principles of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion.
Okay, but the
freedoms keep these things secure.
But
the
there's
ultimate
just people
irony.
who say that isn't true, and you have to understand they exist. And what do you do with them? Like I always ask, when do we put them in the camps then? If what they believe is so anti-America, or what do we do with people who disagree?
If I believe in freedom of religion, I will never put somebody in camps due to their religion. If I believe in freedom of speech, I will never put somebody in camps due to them exercising the freedom of their speech. Whereas if I don't, I will put the tags on the doors that my friends have on their doors. I got a friend who runs a print shop right now, and he just had the LA County Department of Public Health come over, threaten him with a $10,000 fine, and tag him up like he's some kind of cockroach-infested restaurant. All right. Meanwhile, the two stores next to him that weren't ratted on by other politically motivated people or financially motivated competitors who are just trying to get him shut down. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing about what the government is forcing us to do under threat of law enforcement and fines that is at all constitutional, at all consistent with our values. And if we don't stick to our values in a crisis, then we are lost as a society and we never had them in the first place.
Okay, but first of all, I know the story you're talking about because you told me, and the other businesses that are nearby, they are allowed to be open by law.
Yeah, well, so is he.
Okay, well, I can't tell him why he isn't. I'm saying this, dude, is that like there are things that are wrong, but dude, like, I don't know. I've seen more and more and more and more and more. We were talking about this story this morning. I think the reason why it comes is we don't talk anymore. We use text. And when you write something to me, I can just decide to read it like some intentionally obtuse moron who's really disingenuous.
That's true.
So you're really saying this. You'll notice this. And how often in person does someone actually come back at you with a "so you're really saying"? And how often does it happen in computers when you're typing? It's like, dude, did you even bother to pretend to hear me out? And I just think...
flesh that out so our audience knows what you're talking about, because I think this is one of the things that Cody said, and there's things that he says fairly often that I actually find myself thinking about during the day because they are truly deep in their simplicity. And before you go much further on your idea, you have to tell our audience, Cody, what you thought the most destructive aspect of social media was. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you said...
Okay, hold on. I'll
just say what it was.
This is going
deep.
way
this is good
longer
stuff.
than it's not deep. I thought it was funny because I personally...
Hey, I thought it was deep.
Hey, I personally grew up using AIM, and I actually I use AIM and I use MySpace. Anyway, it's just interesting that for the first time in pretty much ever with internet, with rapid communication, right, is text like the predominant form of communication. Normally it was spoken. Like always. Like you would talk to someone to communicate with them, always. And then you have text messaging, and this notion that you'll communicate through text is it's pretty new. I mean, don't get me wrong, people wrote letters to each other, right? But like, I would say there wasn't very many people who like mostly communicated by letter. They would speak with most people around them. Like letters were an intimate thing. I mean, actually, for a very long period of time, like there is a period of time where it was like, I'm slapping you with the glove and grabbing the pistol if you wrote a letter to my wife, right?
Yeah.
Now, if someone texts my wife and it's just like something benign, but like, you know what I mean? It's like, you wrote a letter to my, like, cause it was like letters were intimate, or the inverse, right? I don't know if the woman glove slap would be, but if some other woman wrote a letter to your husband, he'd be like, hold on a minute, it was intimate. Now it's everything is just through text. And one thing text lets you do, to my point, is I can read what you wrote and just take an intentionally dense, disingenuous, so you're really saying, like, oh my God, that's what you mean stance. Always, man, you can just do it for everything anyone says. You never have to agree with anything anyone ever says, ever. Because you kind of get to decide what they meant. That's one of the things text is. There's no body language. There's no inflection. It's just written. So it's weird, and I think it's made political discourse really bad. Political discourse is really bad when it's so easy to just intentionally read someone disingenuously.
Well, and when it's stripped of its ability.
Yeah. Because just one last thing is,
well, when it's stripped of a human aspect, yes.
But just the point is, it's harder to read something intentionally disingenuous. For example, if I say, look, like if someone's like, look, of course, like this is all, like if someone like, I'm trying to think of a good example in person to say, but like people can say something a certain way where it means something deeper than if they just wrote it. If they just write it, you can read it and go, you didn't really mean it. You really meant this. You only say this because of that. And it's nonsense. It's one of the reasons why I don't know if you know, I almost never engage in typing my political argument with anyone because it's dumb. I know, bless their hearts, they're gonna misread it, their fault or not. Because I will admit, people like me, I'm not necessarily like the greatest writer, so like I'll just write wrong. I mean, I'm not the greatest talker, man. I'll misspeak my own point in 40 minutes straight, right? Just trying to make it, I'll make it wrong. So to think I can get it across in a couple hundred words or whatever is kind of tough, but people draw crazy conclusions from this stuff, man. Like it's almost like, seriously, from someone like me who I'm like mostly politically neutral because I dislike, whenever I start getting into anything too much, I'm like, God, this sucks. I should never pay this much attention to it. So I'm kind of on the outside. I'll notice, dude, all the people from like the right and left, but not even the right and left, all the people from both sides of every issue making the same point to me, like the exact same point. And I'm like, dude, what? You don't understand. You can't listen to them. They always lie. They have to lie because they have no basis for what they're saying. I'm like, dude, that's what they told me. Always. It's all I'm hearing from anyone, and it's because you're just reading them intentionally dishonestly.
I know. I think that's very true.
And it's really damaging to any discussion.
And I have often said that social media, designed and originally loved for its ability to cross large distances and bring people together in a way that we never could before, has also strangely isolated them. It's had a reverse effect where we go months without seeing a friend that we feel like we kind of know and have kept up with because we've seen pictures of the new baby and we've seen pictures of the soccer games that were won and we've seen pictures of the kids that have graduated. But when we're not actually having that face-to-face interaction, talking about those proud moments of parenthood, talking about those proud moments of graduation, actually seeing those new babies so that they recognize us when we walk through the front door, we've actually grown further apart. So yes, I very much agree with you. And I like how Jordan Peterson said that we're living in the second Gutenberg press, where podcasts have made ideas so easy to record in a high quality fashion that is easy to disseminate to many people so inexpensively that now good ideas have no excuse not to propagate. Okay, I do believe we are experiencing a revolutionary time where communication is changing in a rapid way, but the nature of it has changed. You're right, with so much reliance upon the written word. And even the inability in audio podcasts, you and I have noticed this, Cody, where things we're talking about, it's so much easier on a visual podcast medium like YouTube to excel. While even in an audio podcast where you can't see Cody's funny faces where he's like, disbelieving something I say or me shaking my head when I'm disagreeing with something he says, that is taken away. And that nuance is important. We've got another super chat here, and then we're going to wrap up. We've actually gone way over.
Back to Ducky Hodges said not left, not right. Everyone's wrong. By the way, that's my scientific method stance I take on everything. Is nope, don't believe it. Everything's wrong until proven otherwise. But in all seriousness, thank you very much for that. But I think like the other thing too I want to touch on, which is one last thing. Maybe some people in chat also know what I'm saying about this. When I grew up, I would say instant online, instant text communication, text messaging and instant messaging. AOL Instant Messenger, AIM is what I used all the time. Dude, there's something to the way you think about communicating with people. When almost every time you're responding to someone, it's kind of on your time and your terms, and you like, it's what I mean. You know what I mean? If I just say, "Hey, go get the car," you don't have a minute and a half to kind of to think in your head 4 or 5 times. Hey, go get the car. Hey, was he being disrespectful when he said that? Was he telling me to get the car because he thinks I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, you just go, okay, cool, be right back. Like, because there's no need to incessantly read into something someone just says to you. But with text messages, instant messages, I mean, dude, how about the way people would read into like, hey, what's up? You know, W8, like, well, what you doing? Nothing much. How about you? Like you would read into that, you'd be deciphering it, and it's dumb. Most of the time, if somebody does have hidden cues to what they're saying, so just to your point, when you're talking about physical, sorry, it's dumb by saying it, and then I want you to touch on the last thing here. Whoa, weird, sorry, I hit the spring. But to your point,
that sounded actually pretty cool.
What's really funny though is that people will read a text message and they'll think they're reading into some hidden knowledge or your psychology or whatever. Here's the bottom line, man. If I'm gonna reveal myself when I'm being dishonest with you, it's going to be with my facial expression, where I'm looking, it's not going to be with how it's written to you in text. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a better chance if somebody wrote something to you and you don't like what you're reading it wrong, than they said something intentionally wrong to you for the most part. Not always, right? But for the most part, like, if I'm going to accidentally let it slip I don't like you that much, it's going to be when I'm kind of condescending and dismissive to you in person because I can't hide that. It's not going to be in, like, the commas or the emojis I use. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. That's just one thing I think is funny. People will read a text message and be like, oh, my God, like, do they hate me? Am I a burden to them? Are they just... It's like, dude, in person, someone will be like, yeah, okay, dude. Okay, see you soon, right? All right, cool. See you soon, dude. Mean different things. But you don't know what to read into it. So, yeah, but but one of the reasons I bring that up, extrapolate that to politics, man, right? What's the difference between, like, yeah, of course people deserve rights? I'm like, well, of course people deserve rights. That's the most important thing. Like, there's big differences between the two. And the thing is, when you're reading what somebody says, you get to decide what they meant. I guess is more what I'm saying. Whereas when they say it, it's kind of harder for you to just decide you know what they meant. Because they kind of betray themselves and how they say it. Body language, all that stuff. But people aren't psychopathic enough to try to be controlling their body language and their tells when they say things, right? Like, most people aren't that crazy to be like, wait, I gotta, like, contort my body in a weird way. And look, like, most people are just gonna lie and hope they get away with it, man. Like, I don't know. But I don't know. It's a long way of saying that it's really important to communicate face-to-face for so many reasons. And one of the reasons why is to get back to my earlier point, I guess, about science or whatever, right? But just to get back to the point that, like, we do understand we do read body language. We do make social cues.
Yeah, it's instinctual.
Yeah, but like people have also spent their whole lifetime trying to hack it or figure out the code. And they can't, dude. It's tough. We just do it. We can't put it into words. We can't put it into data. People try. I'm sure they get close. But that's not I don't know if that's some code we'll ever crack, right?
I think we don't crack
Some
it
people are better
consciously.
than others, right?
I think we crack it subconsciously.
There we go,
and that's why charisma, the original root of the word charisma comes from the Greek where they called it the gift from the gods, because those people who can instinctually pick up on body cues and can instinctually give a stirring oration and can instinctually and naturally persuade people and move people through their speech and through their movement and through their aura and their presence. That's why it's called a gift from the gods. So I think we've hacked that in a kind of almost subconscious evolutionary way, in a way that can't be written into books. Actually, in some ways it can, and there are aspects of psychology that have put some of this into measurable quantifiers, but it's a natural talent more than it is a learned skill.
But to the point, the irony. How about the irony of somebody using those tools to sell you on the idea that they'll be able to teach them to you. Isn't that a great irony?
Okay, repeat that.
How about the irony of people using these quote-unquote gifts from the god to trick you into believing they could teach you how to do it?
No.
They can't. They don't know how. They just know they can do it to you. They don't know how to do it themselves. Because like you said, and again, it's not because they're like evil or wrong. A lot of them believe they can. It's just like, it's one of the reasons why, bless his soul, I guess you could say. But one of the reasons why, he's actually on screen right now, Kobe Bryant, but it's one of the reasons why guys like Kobe Bryant don't always necessarily make good coaches.
Okay.
For example, Michael Jordan, one of the greatest, probably the greatest basketball player ever lived, he runs a franchise and he always drafts bad players.
Okay.
Because Michael Jordan's got this psychopathic, insane, crazy person mind. So he'll look at someone's physical tools and kind of assume he could get them to operate the way he did mentally. And it's like, dude, you're Michael Jordan. Like, no one thinks the way you do or can operate the way you do. You're unique in that sense. Something people do overlook what makes them special. Like you said, we joke about like Jocko Willenick. I think there's like David Goggins or another one of those guys. And I agree that it's more people can than not, right? But it's funny. They'll just be like, dude, what do you mean? You can't just like wake up at 4 a.m. and jog 3 miles? It's like, dude, you're a special human. Like what? That's like Michael Jordan being like, dude, you can't just like drop 35
Can
points
I bring
a game
up a
in the
good point,
NBA?
Cody, before we finish here? Because we do have to go, and I'm actually already 18 minutes late for my appointment. But Devlin Ducky Hodges says, hey, with a sad emoji. Hey, with a sleepy emoji. Hey, with a winky emoji. Hey, with a smirky emoji. Hey, with a tongue out emoji. And hey, with a surprised emoji says, the emoji is your emotion. Text is interpreted by the reader. It's true. Before emoji. Now we have perfected the written word because we've added emojis.
No, but he's a great point though. Right? Like if, and the thing is, in person, you make that face and they see it. Or you make that inflection in your voice. You say the word longer or shorter. You say it harsher or, you know what I mean? Like all that stuff you do. And we have to do it. And I think it's one of the things too. It's one of the ways people can turn their minds against themselves. Instead of just saying, they're probably just saying, hey, you ask which hey is it? And we do it in politics. Instead of just saying they might mean what they say, we go, but what do they mean? Which one of the 9 definitions really do they mean? And it's like, I don't know. That's tough.
So anyway, hold on a second there. That Dr. Pepper just came back real quick. Anyway, this has been awesome. All right, guys, I'm responding to a couple of comments here. It looks like there's a lot of requests for a PSP group Zoom chat. Probably would be impossible to do do a Zoom chat, but we had success earlier on with Discord.
No, we could do a Discord voice chat. We could set up a Zoom chat as well.
You want to try that? That'd be kind of fun.
Not tonight, maybe.
Yeah, not tonight.
But we could set that up one day, a Zoom chat. That'd be fun. No, it's not that hard at all. I just gotta you know what? I'd probably do it through the Discord. I just send you the link in the Discord, and you just join that way. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So anyway, this has been awesome. We'll stick around for another minute or two after the stream stops, just responding to comments inside of the chat. If you guys can, please don't forget to join the channel. It's an inexpensive way to support us. Also, if you haven't liked this video yet, we only got 24 likes, but we got over 100 people watching, man. So we got to make sure that we like this video before you get off the stream.
Or hey, if you disagree, feel free to dislike.
Oh yeah. Don't ratio us though. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't care. Please, I want to hear from the people. If you disagree with anything I said, dislike, and I'll know it's a dislike for me and not for Carden.
Yeah. So a lot of shout outs for Krusty Krab pizza. I'm definitely gonna have to try this one. But anyway.
Oh, hold on.
What?
Do you know where the nearest Krusty Krab is?
Krusty Krab. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh, I can't believe
that
was so boomer. That was so boomer right there.
Especially for people that I used to give him so much crap for not knowing more because he's got like you have children that are in elementary school and like you don't watch SpongeBob and like that's why I love
my wife
that.
watched enough
Krusty
SpongeBob.
Krab. Yeah, you ever heard? Krusty Krab pizza is the pizza for you and me. You didn't know that?
Yeah,
I
actually saw that episode.
Pizza?
Yes, as soon as it escaped my tongue, as soon as it rolled off the tip of my tongue, I knew that I was toast. As soon as it, I need a T word to say it. As soon as it. I don't know a verb that starts with a t, but anyway.
Well, I guess it's verbs. I don't know.
Yeah, what's a verb that starts as soon as it?
But just any verb.
As soon as it took off of the tip of my tongue.
I don't think took's a verb, right?
Yeah, it took off. As soon as it took off the tip of my tongue, I knew that I was titillatingly and tenaciously.
Well, you were a language major, right?
I was a literature and poetry major.
Okay. That's so funny. I'm like the opposite. Words are like the death of me. I'm like, oh God.
So Karyoshi
I gotta
just
figure out
says
words. I don't know any words, man.
Karyoshi 1 just said that is the single most boomer thing I've ever heard. I knew it. I'll never live it down. I will never live down that Krusty Krab pizza comment. Anyway, let's keep the conversation going.
It was like, it wasn't like something. It was like it's Krusty Krab. It's like the Krusty Krab, man. It's like
yeah.
You know what's funny? Hold on a second. Just one last point.
Yeah.
It's another one of those things. Yeah. I agree. From my generation, man, how could you not have a cursory knowledge of SpongeBob? But I can get why you didn't. Why some people have watched it, but it's the best. If you haven't watched it, make sure you watch it.
Yeah. So anyway, Trev Topic says this made my night. Well, you made ours. Make sure you guys like this video before we go.
Someone said Zelos, I believe, said I prefer to communicate solely through emoji and GIF. Reaction images and emojis, honestly, are more effective than words, I think, for responding to people on text messages. I'm serious. If you could communicate what you mean to someone more effectively through like smiley face, thumbs up, smiley face, than like writing a paragraph sometimes. Just like, I approve, good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're writing, you'll do the same thing. You'll be writing and you'll be like, well, dang. I need to make sure I'm very clear about what I mean. Sometimes you just thumbs up emoji, smiley face emoji, sunglasses emoji. That's it. If you don't know what I meant, hey, it's on you.
Yeah. Anyway, this is Problem Solver Politics. Ooh, we will see you guys in the next video.